So I'd like to begin by acknowledging the First Nations peoples. Rigpa Melbourne acknowledges the Wurundjeri Woi Wurrung people of the Kulin Nation as traditional owners and custodians of the land and waters we now call Melbourne. We affirm that Wurundjeri Woi Wurrung people have lived on this land for millennia, practicing their customs and ceremonies of celebration, initiation, and renewal. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. So it's my great privilege to introduce Tukupema Rigpa Rinpoche to those of you who may not know him. Tukupema Rigpa Rinpoche is a Dzogchen master in the Namkha Kyung Dzong tradition of the Nyingma school of Tibetan Buddhism. His principal monastery and nunnery are located in Humla, a remote area in the northwest of Nepal. In addition, there are approximately 80 branch monasteries in Tibet, Nepal, and India, and hundreds of hermits practicing in caves and solitary locations in Humla, Nepal, and Ngari, Tibet, under Rinpoche's instruction and guidance. And Rinpoche has students in Taiwan, Singapore, Hong Kong, and the USA. Rinpoche is one of the main Dudjom Tessa holders. The Dudjom Tessa Ngundro is a terma practice composed and concealed by Guru Rinpoche in the 9th century, which was revealed in the 19th century by Dudjom Lingpa as part of a pure vision cycle. As Rigpa students within the Nyingma and Dzogchen tradition, we are honored and delighted to host this weekend of teachings for several reasons. One of these is the very fact of Tukupema Rigpa Rinpoche's deep connection to Dudjom Jigdral Yeshe Dorje, Dudjom Rinpoche. Our Tsabe Lama, Sogi Rinpoche, studied extensively with Dudjom Rinpoche and then traveled with him as his translator. It was under Dudjom Rinpoche's guidance and mentorship that Sogi Rinpoche began to teach. So this connection is strong, and Sogi Rinpoche's devotion to Dudjom Rinpoche remains steadfast and profound throughout his life. Sogi Rinpoche introduced us to the Dudjom Tessa Ngundro at the beginning of our Ngundro path. Therefore, it is very dear and familiar to us, as is also Dudjom Rinpoche's prayer, titled The Prayer of Calling the Lama from Afar, an unending, spontaneously arising song, which, as you know, is the subject of this afternoon's teaching. Sogi Rinpoche adored this prayer. We chant it regularly, and it has deep meaning for us. In addition to Dudjom Rinpoche, among Tukupema Rigpa Rinpoche's principal gurus are Kyabje Dingo Khenche Rinpoche, Kyabje Dodripchen Rinpoche, Kyabje Penor Rinpoche, Kyabje Yangtang Rinpoche, and Kyabje Trushik Rinpoche. All of these great masters are well known to Rigpa students, even if not personally, by virtue of Sogi Rinpoche's profound devotion for them. He talked so often to us about them and never tired of recounting their extraordinary qualities. So having Tukupema Rigpa Rinpoche here in Melbourne, in this hall, reestablishes that heartwarming connection for us. Since Sogi Rinpoche's passing, Rigpa's commitment and purpose have been and continue to be to move forward with his vision and his work. Sogi Rinpoche was a Rime master, the non-sectarian open-minded tradition which has respect for all schools of Tibetan Buddhism and for all religious traditions, showing openness while also embodying the unique style and methods of our tradition. We aspire to apply this spirit to everything we do, and this includes receiving teachings from other masters in order to enrich our understanding of the Buddha Dharma. This is one such occasion, and we are so grateful to Tukupema Rigpa Rinpoche for returning to Melbourne and teaching us again, especially as he rarely travels. Rinpoche first taught at the Rigpa Center in February 2019. And while speaking of openness to all traditions, we celebrate the fact that students from a number of different sanghas have gathered for this weekend of teachings. Not only that, but it has become an international event. For we have students online from Australia and also from other parts of the world, and we have some international visitors here in the hall. Welcome to you all. This is indeed a rare and precious opportunity for us, not only to honor and respect Tuku Pema Rigpa Rinpoche and his teachings, but also to honor and respect each other and the sacred teaching environment here in this venue. In a moment, I will hand over to Anthony, who will lead us in the opening prayers, and there will also be closing prayers when the teaching concludes. And just in case anyone is unfamiliar with these prayers, they are a traditional way of enhancing the auspiciousness of the occasion, preparing us to receive the teachings, and then dedicating the merit after having received the teachings. And just a word about the timing. So in order for Rinpoche to complete this teaching today, it is possible that he may need a little extra time. So we may finish a little later than 4 p.m. And we hope that you will all be able to stay longer, if necessary, to receive the full teaching. But of course, if you absolutely do need to leave, that's fine. Just exit quietly from the hall when you need to do so. So now I will hand over to Anthony. Thank you.
Taking refuge in generating bodhicitta. In the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until I attain enlightenment. Through the merit of practicing generosity and the rest, may I attain the Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until I attain enlightenment. Through the merit of practicing generosity and the rest, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until I attain enlightenment. Through the merit of practicing generosity and the rest, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Turning the mind in the four immeasurables. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness, be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the great happiness devoid of suffering, and may they dwell in the great equanimity that is free from attachment and aversion. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness, be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the great happiness devoid of suffering, and may they dwell in the great equanimity that is free from attachment and aversion. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness, be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the great happiness devoid of suffering, and may they dwell in the great equanimity that is free from attachment and aversion. A short mandala offering. The ground is purified with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Simaru, the king of the mountains, the four quarters of the universe, and the sun and the moon. Thinking of it as the blessed Buddha fields, I offer it. By virtue of this offering, may all beings here and now attain the happiness of that pure land. Tram Guru Ratna Mandala Putsam Megasa Mantra Suparana Samaya Ahu. Requesting the teachings. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma, grant the teachings of the Hinaya and the Mahayana to all sentient beings according to their intelligence and receptivity. Semchem namki sempadang, lochi yendra chitawa, chitang tumong te paye, chayin kolo kuduso.
Jigdari she dojela kujanza Roman Jiggy and give Padana to some Jigunjing on ye, and some Chukuan to don't. Savila Mishavlas and the Conda George don't get then the Shilamariwa comes on that and the Bichu Kishan. Sembran de Batam Gender, the Maria Tambala, Ekatalo, Tamajinki, Tomum Dami, Kanadra, Kunjitagis, Tamjiki, the Dagish, Tondo, Mangundoan, Gita, and Yabisim Gentam, Lana Mebayanta, Zobisangi, Kumon, Bochela, Chini, and Gobercha. They don't do. They do such as the Montanis and the Yamsal or Gyon, but to keep on the essentials.
Please listen to the following teaching with the motivation of bodhicitta, which means to think that I will establish all mother sentient beings who are limitless in number as the vast expanse of space in the level of perfect, unsurpassable enlightenment. I will do that by all means, and in order to do this, I will now listen to this profound Dharma and put it into practice.
Tene tatering aranso shejage chudi karsa lama jangpo satene lama jangpo ge solde ningmi tolo shechewa tandingi tene aranso tering sheji chudi tire diore titi indi kanata chidang de lama jangpo segende mangpu che yore tindi kanala tumonge lama jangpo do dan tumo maimbi lama jangpo do dan tene te dawi ge tene lama jangpo mangpu che nane teringi de tene jabji dunjurum buche songyo ge ya te nyungmi tulo sigente tene yangpyo nane tumo maimbe kichire tan di chirdange ngaranzo ge tene lama yangpyo so nangla chirdange tseme taba le gyunde la sobe ge tachuri nyeka wa tseme taba dan tindriki goni lami namtar dan tempa goni ten lama yangpyo bodang mangu jor ten di nang lama yangpyo de zo di tene zogba shimpo tawa goni lama ge tene kansa solwan tepa ya tene tina ji zogba shimpo tawa da bomba chopa 진짜 탐지기 거는데 때네 따위 거네 솔데 진도 강라 내가 민코랑 육미 돌로 선다고 그래 그때 인도 강라 디디 담보딜라마 장표스긴데 지당 강아 저 솔데부터 인삼나 또스 때네 누르차들 단 딩의식이 최상래 들 따이나 양의식이 최지 니미망고 저지 인도기 레다 마르벨람 딱 캔서지도 강르스나 초징의 삼을다나 라마 장표스 미 탐지기 딴직된 के फॉर्म में थमचे के खाने मान दें दिखे जिम्बा कांसी ला यहाँ छोटे के सामने दिन जोबा चिंपे महंगा रहा से तीन दिन कांता तीन दिन के नाच इंगारां तो इन्हें जे खासम माचे ने लुई देवर जे रहते ये ना यहाँ इंगारां तो के इतने दी लामा जंगपे ती ताची देवा मंजब नहीं मंजब रे देवा जी जब नहीं ती जोबा चिंपे के इतने कर तावा का गुम्बा चपाला 시에 마저나 탑시 메긴다고 차도 때 인도 강라 땅아랑 차시 중시기 인디나나 송조가 측이 돈다 가르래도 디측이 가리가리 땡기도 센텐 tinso 탐지데 되는 슈주기 탑시 지기 되는 아랑라 연된 시우메 바당 되는 캐나바 탐진데 시기기 미 탐제베 로종치고 시제 통보샤자 인도 강라 나 도즈데 능줄도 당 마중 같은 데 있는 되는 탐제라 곤다스 되는 인도 강라 때양 렉 비차도 여는데 캐나바 때 두고 자로지데 야버데 다 믹스를 게드는데 쇼용겐 탐질랑이 있네 당쇼 원쇼라드네 삼디다시 delay 스티스로치.
So first of all, I'd like to begin by saying welcome, Tashi Dele. The teaching that we're going to look at today is a prayer entitled Calling the Guru from Afar, a spontaneous song of the genuine nature. There are many prayers of this nature, calling the Guru from afar. It's a type of prayer. So there are many such prayers. Some of them are more kind of common or ordinary. Some are more special, unusual. Dudjom Rinpoche's prayer that we're looking at is extremely special and uncommon. A lot of the prayers entitled Calling the Guru from Afar reflect on more general topics such as the four mind changings, like the reflection on the difficulty of finding a precious human life, the impermanence and death, and so on and so forth. This prayer, however, this spontaneous song of the genuine nature, is a supplication to the Guru from the perspective of the view of the great perfection. The prayer itself goes through, elucidates the view, meditation, and conduct of the great perfection. It's entitled accordingly, a spontaneous song of the genuine nature, the innate nature. So this is not an ordinary or a common supplication. It's actually an instruction on the main part of practice itself. That being the case, nevertheless, this is a prayer that's very commonly recited. It's sort of found in the hands of every and all practitioners. Every and all practitioners, male and female, from young to old. At the same time, it's a prayer that contains the most profound instructions of the Great Perfection and its view. So from one point of view, it's not really, we could say it's not really appropriate to be going through explaining such a prayer in a public context. But at the other time, it's so widely practiced, so widely chanted. So I will go through this prayer and explain it as best as I can, according to the view, meditation, and conduct of the Great Perfection that it presents. I'm not particularly learned or knowledgeable myself, so my ability is limited. For any mistakes I make or any shortcomings in the teachings, then I ask for your forgiveness and your patience. I know most Western disciples are usually very well read, very highly educated, so please bear with me. Equally, if there's anything beneficial that you find in my talk, please be sure to take that to heart.
Yeah, Atering de lama jangbu shigure, Zobachibu Kanchin shigure, and Lama Yangal dog yota. They didn't be Koran Tunda Koran de Lama Jambu Koran de Shi Koran Zobachimbul Senishi and Dukala. Tene Zobachimbu de Tene Getcha de Machine Tamshin Chado, Mashi Rigpa de Yogan Chozo Tamji, Womaning Batada, Tenda in Dukala. Di Chu Karishakuna, Dinala, Georgia Career, but the Palchikozo Hakodi or Hamabuat in the Tending Mari. The Indu Hakwa into Kanta, I like to get Zopachim Chuji Chevres, Piche, Tineti, Geningante, program circuit, the tea in Dukan, thing it at the Ella, Chicken Zambam Mibitoni and Zopachim Chu, Dinamala Career, but the thing about Shugins.
So, as I've said, this prayer is based on the foundation for this prayer is the view of the Great Perfection. You might wonder why, why is the basis of this prayer is the Great Perfection. So you might think, well, why is such content being taught in this kind of context? Teachings or commentary on the text, I received a commentary on this text from Kyabje Dungse Trini Nover Rinpoche. That's Rinpoche.
Tene Narayang di Mo Dunimi to the Lama Young with the Pemig Gauyo, cancer, not another need to talk on the code, not chung to come deep on the Hamagona. Take it 60 past them now, Ganan Rosie. 지금 아주 대 양진만 되는 게 대용도 감 직선바디랑 신이들 대바이게 가능도 오지 다 대바스는 부하고 말데 빼지 선나가 가능도 오지 근데 셔게요 대인도 강나 대 견전 된다라 대 근데 제랑 아야 또야 로야 제 빼자도 또 롭저도 또 지어도 강나 되기 때短다서 제 공도 강나 대 디경이 제 지서는 안 저희는 지금 인터스처로 되겠다고 근데 좀 대인도 강나 딩인 대와 딩알아 미지 큐디 대와 티쇼스 가 수지 마중 라마게 큐디 대와 대신 디그레스 초전 나가지고 인딜 대와 지갑이 고마 달로 몽고군한테 패치 달로 니동 가져이나 니 숨지 꼰레나 지 무주고주 고들레나 챙깁니다 니 디에세 디디 강랑이 이래 팅이 동서를 붙이는 디 대와 디교대야 커렉션도 이런 거 표현 인들이 디샤요세 땅 아까 변한 거나 강치거나 성아 또 시에서는 뭐지 가서 파만 나신세 라마인바 강실을 파만 나신지 배 가진 난 거래 큐딘을 한번 지고 니나신 큐로 좀 가게 하면 딜 대화자는 강칭에서 가 윤난 거에 나서는 강인하면 뭐지 지 표현 이런 뭐지 남균들은 뭐지 쓰기만 되는 딜 배는 뭐지 도시부 쓰기네 딜 지 니마 구주링을 뭐지 다지 뒤뒤 튼게 삼랑 인딜 커렉션 나 얘는 딜 드네 배 나라네 강서래 지 딱주도 들었나네 땡아야 마 랑단 디기도 저런 디야고도 섰네 송도 땡아 앞에 가오 좀 딘데와디 영어만이 디게 라마 양부터는 데바 데마 쭈앙아주루지 나랑 게도 표시들 데마 니슈 짱아저루 중사요 르림부지 망부지 젠 유셔도 나디 깨자리 양도 신 쳐 말에 전마 젠나네 배 답디우스네 데마 쭈앙아전도 데덴 배스 가주네 다 줍딘 접지 줘래 쭈앙에서 다나데 배 쭈앙아래도 어디 쭈앙아래도 오페 쭈앙아래도 인디 페지 배 니슈자랑지 니자니자 숨지 용사요 다 같이 챙기면 돼 르림부지게 디 지금 수요나네现在 먹고서 마치나 근데 근데 진나도 딘딘디 간 딜nga to스 디셔도 to스 오만에 유스
On top of that, on top of having this connection with his teaching by receiving the transmission and so on, for some reason, ever since I was a child, I just loved this prayer. When I was a child, we would recite it daily or frequently, and we would recite it with a melody. And at that time, at that age, I didn't understand the meaning at all. But somehow, for whatever reason, I just loved the prayer. It just made me so happy. It filled me with delight. So since a young age, I've had this kind of real, a real affection for this text and a strong interest in it. As I got older and I studied and became a little more knowledgeable about the teachings, then I started to understand the meaning of the prayer. And then my interest in the prayer grew even stronger. I myself wrote a commentary on this prayer in around 1996 or 97. No one requested me to write the commentary, but rather I wrote it out of my own initiative, just because of my love and interest in the prayer. I wrote the prayer and then I showed it to Dongsen Chininobu Rinpoche. He was my guru, but also kind of like a parent to me. So I showed my composition to him to ask for his thoughts and his feedback. I was quite scared. I wondered if he might really scold me or criticize me for having written it. But anyway, he took my composition and he kept it for about 9 or 10 days. And in his breaks between sessions, he made a lot of edits and corrections and cut out certain sections. And then he handed it back to me and said, okay, now make these changes and then it's good. It's good to go. So I was pretty pleased to get that feedback from him. And then I finalized the prayer. To begin with, it was about 22 or 3 pages. And after Rinpoche's edits and so on, it was reduced to about 15 or 16. Rinpoche, there was a lot of repetition in it, and Rinpoche said, you don't need to repeat yourself so much. I wrote a commentary on it as well. And just a note from my side, we have that commentary translated into English, so maybe soon we can share it. That's what Rinpoche.
Induganda Tandani, Tendin Devat in Mashagan and Tinimasumshi Lardosare, Tringalans de Chusuni, and Laximata to Zumindu, Titiramo Shedena, the Digmatain Dicoron Titon Maltos Mantelni, Tine Narangi, Noma Tisha Yoga subject. That is a Tamje Magi details in my love that to Tumo to Zuka Sansa and Mari, Tini, Kenaba Tamje and then again to Kanashu Pentos Amido, Tang around there, Tango Lama Jambu, Solti Numi Tulu, second Tilangita. So
we don't have time to for me to explain this prayer sort of using my actual commentary, that would take sort of 2 or 3 days at least, and we only have 2 or 3 hours. So I'm not planning to do that. My plan is to go through the root text, the prayer itself, following the outline that I used in my commentary. That said, I'm not going to go through all the details of the outline. We don't have time for that, and I'm aware that you're all quite learned in the Dharma and familiar, so probably, it's not necessary.
Dela solo sulta lama jangbu ge sol de nyumi tulu se de solo tap se de sultan lama tap ge lama la kanjin solo tap ge se de zo chi ndonga kang ge chue na lama lama tim be chue chue ma do ina lama ten go re nga ina lama lagbar to ya nga lami ge dini ge na la ten lama ma ten ba chi ge sanji ko bon top top zawa ni yo ma re din na sing ge ten ta long mang go tang na ma go go lama sangi lama che tishin lama gin de kunji che bol la na lama pa chen heruka aseng do ta Indu Kala Sara Hai Toa Nalaya, Lamichin Love Gangi Nisha, Labitne, Nipiter Tonda, as I think Lama Seginti, Tembayin, Lama Segin, Chilop de Majuna, Sang, Tamga, Tine Zawachimbuki, Chilop Juta Toy in Yomar. Indu Kala Lama the Inji Mijik Sachimbo, Habertoya, in a Zawachimbu capture, Lama Matin Bagasanki Kovanto of Yomari, Naran Sogate in a Jawalong Ramjam of Sambotana and Kumaral Tina Sanjavare, Tilik Chilap Juni. Maranzuge tene pension tene korapara narobado ina telubal tene sanje milar wapekata chore milar Rinpoche de tene marbal ozal tene tin nashin chige tene ta pyo kanje joge ketu kanje ji ina yanda masebe chige jakar ke tuchin gyaju thamji ya tene lama la tene sang ke chilub de lama tene thobne sang ke jo chita Rigpa ngote ta ta re tin du kala gyunchin shiwi gone tene lama la solata gyende lama jangpu ke solte slavares.
The title is A Prayer of Calling the Guru from Afar, Spontaneous Song of the Genuine Nature. So the object of our prayer or supplication here is the Guru. Why are we praying to the Guru though? Well, whether it be the teachings of Sutra or the teachings of Tantra, whichever approach of Dharma you take, you need to follow a teacher. There's no way to make progress and to proceed without relying on a teacher, a guru. Especially in the teachings of the Vajrayana, the Tantric teachings, there is no way to proceed without a guru. We can look at all of the accounts and life stories of the great masters of the past. There's not a single one who attained enlightenment without relying on a guru. There are so many quotations in the scriptures which speak to this truth. Quotations that read, for instance, in the Tantras we find the Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, the Guru is the Sangha, the Guru is the doer and source of all. We find similar quotations from the Mahasiddha Saraha and so on and so forth. All of this is to say that, simply speaking, without receiving the blessings of the Guru, there is no way to attain the accomplishments, there is no way to attain enlightenment. For instance, we can look at Longchenpa. He relied on, he achieved accomplishment, attained realization by relying on his guru Kumaradza, Naropa by following Tilopa, the great master Milarepa by following Mapa Lotsawa, and so on and so forth. Whichever great accomplished or a learned master in Tibet you look at, likewise whichever master from India, like the 84 Mahasiddhas you look at, they all attained realization and enlightenment through the blessings of their gurus, by following gurus. Oh yeah, Congo tene grab dojela tene solwata garod de chushu grab dojela lama tene zobachim damani ne tiku sakung ukurta tamares tina shinchege ngalancho tene shirisanga na jambal shingen tene o tene lama chila tigel tene tinde chindu kanta sabar do tene sanga de idam la je jangbe chevale ta khandula ke lama idam khandro se pe gang cha je tinane ya sanga che lama de ke cheva indu Mutine tilal ten lama latine jamnu bepares te lama tiang khaso ta lama se jote chidang ge tolo maru kunjo tamchi ji ta lama che reg mare tin du kan lama se genti wang kur gud she menga ten bi lama se gore te labar to chu ge tene pe mi ge tene jawaji gore tin nane ya uni ge tene chi rang ge ti
Sem ngo taking, sem ngotine, ngo taking, Zoba Chimbri, ngo taking tea, Lama Tumo, but it did that and then there Lama Tian, Zoba Chimbu thinking a lama. Oh, yeah, one kurwa Yushiva, Mangate big lama, that Tila Solat of Gurtin, Lama Jumpers, Lavis.
We can think also in terms of the three lines of transmission, the wisdom transmission, symbolic transmission, wisdom transmission of the Buddhas, symbolic transmission of the Vidyadharas, and the oral transmission of humans. In all of these cases, the accomplished masters of these lines of transmission got where they are, so to speak, by relying on their gurus, through receiving the blessings of their gurus. We can look at a great master like Manjushri Mitra, who was just unparalleled in terms of his qualities, his learning and accomplishment. But even he had to rely, he relied on his guru Garab Doje, supplicated him, received teachings, received blessings, and it's through that he became who he was. So this is the case for Manjushri Mitra, Garab Doje, Shri Singha, all of the great lineage masters. In the Vajrayana teachings, we talk about the three roots, these crucial three roots of Guru, Yidam, and Dakini. From among all of these three, it said that the Guru is the most important, the source of all blessings. In Tibetan, Guru, the word for Guru is Lama. So when we say Lama or Guru, we're not just talking about sort of anyone who's wearing red robes. Rather, we're talking about a very specific kind of teacher or person with whom we have a specific kind of teacher relationship. Namely, we have received empowerment from a teacher. We've also received instructions or explanations of the tantras. And in addition, and most importantly, we've received pith instructions, meaning pith instructions that introduce us, bring us to recognition of the true nature of the mind, the state of the great perfection. So this is the kind of guru we're talking about here, a guru as understood in the context of the great perfection. That's
Then there are young birds, young nibbles, Mashilama young Shirjik, Tarabuchil Keja, Kachan, Chimari, and the Solat Tapangere, Penang Alonso, Liu the Manala. Yeah, Q Pamarambuti, Dongyang Le Pyong Lingbo Dandring by Ninzen to do now so Salatop set Tisundo. I think you can the councils and a Salat on the pay. Dangyan Bugone, Lami Catintene. Lami Kusum took Catinten. Tatanda de Lama Coron, the Zobachimbing Ortineta, Tengo Indu, the Zobachimbing Tawatan, Gombatan, Chopala Sopi, Lami Kusum took Yandela, Tany Asolata Vigire de the Martha Senat in a young boy Budandi. Lama Tabatan, Tanang, Dungwashimbo, Perna, Puchunjunga, Amal Kejaganashi, Puchunjunga, Amake, Kenyan boy, Chenzogena, Mummy in a Chilado, in Ama, love the compare till a Sewa Dedi Kejit, Tintin Nashing Titian, get down the round and Anashike Yabutan, Kayabu manage them, Kenyan Buyana, Kenyan Bugon, Lama young pretty burning, Lami get two Kukures, teeny young birds at me, young the current dongles. Pyong Lingbu Dang Bais, Pyong Gendang, Lingbu Dang, Shingbo Tati, Pyong Dang Ransemar, around so come get Yin Chene, then Lama de la Solata word. Tian Solata get to Zetian, Ninsen Tutugus Solata Towers, and Yin Lensum, Chen Lensum Chenyamatu. That Tinder men I am Tang around and did wonder now the Lama Yang would wonder Molan Dungo, Tin Ducala, wondering one thing it can't to see and that and then around wondering Lama Yang would take one certain chaser that there's a time jiggy lose within the chiggy. Tin Ducala Lama Yang would wondering on the mother hand, Demi shot of what in the time, Lama the Tango, Lama the Tendang the Shaker, Tin Ducala. Thing in Tutugan Solatana Yashure. Didn't answer Namgin around the wondering one younger. Tin Til Lamala Solata like Jampu, second on the terrace.
It said that the prayer, it said that the title says we pray to the Guru from afar. So we're calling the Guru from afar. What's meant by this phrase, calling from afar? It indicates a sense of distance, as if the Guru is very far from us. That's not what's really meant. Calling from afar refers to a type of prayer, a way of praying or supplicating. This is explained, for instance, in the prayer to Guru Rinpoche in 7 verses, which just a paraphrase says, one should call upon the Guru from the depths of one's heart with intense yearning and calling out to them with melodious tunes. That's a very loose translation, but the point is that calling the Guru from afar is a mode of supplication where we call upon the Guru by recalling their enlightened qualities of wisdom, body, speech, and mind, their extraordinary kindness. And we do that with intense longing, with faith and pure perception. In terms of the melody and the way we chant, it's said in the prayer to Guru Rinpoche in 7 verses, in 7 chapters, for instance, that we should chant like a melodious sitar or a melodious flute. What that means is that we should chant as beautifully and evocatively as possible. When a child calls out to its mother, if a child thinks it's lost its mother and then calls out to them, they do it with such kind of piercing longing, right? It's actually very beautiful to hear in a way. That's the kind of deep-seated longing we're talking about here. With that longing, we call out to the Guru. When do we make this prayer? When do we call the Guru from afar? We do it night and day. It's said 6 times a day and 6 times a night, meaning all the time. There's no limit to when and where we can make this supplication. Essentially, this calling the Guru from afar means recalling the Guru's qualities and their kindness. In our Dudjom Tersa tradition, we traditionally recite this prayer before the beginning of our Ngondro practice. That's not to say, though, that you're not allowed to recite it in other times. You can recite it. Yeah, we should recall the qualities and kindness of the Guru all the time. That's so much.
Oh yeah, that's all about devs love. So what conscience tab go is about took you to Zopa Chimbu, Tandashina, Zopic Chimbu, Rigpa, motivate the sort of beer, sort of beauty, Kaji, around the salt of the Benachi, Parjishiro, Nange Parjanan, so against the Parjelam, Soya, Sol de Sambal, Lundu, Soya, Sol de Bre, Gisentroma, don't get so salt of they are salt of air, La Conosolva, Datanji, and so they give me so near. D Carson Solva, the Kanta Gores, and Lami took you also to Barala, Chupaton.
So what are we praying for here? What we're praying for here, what we're supplicating for is realization, that the Guru's realization, the Guru's blessings may flood our mind, may fill our mind. There are some prayers like Vache Lamsel and Sampalhundrup where we're primarily praying that obstacles, outer, inner, and secret be removed, or that all our wishes be fulfilled. Those are still prayers, and this is also a prayer, but what we're praying for differs. So here, to reiterate, we're supplicating or praying that the Guru's realization may enter our being. That's it.
Tindu Kana, that's all what Devs love, the Lama Jampu yourself, Numi Toulouse, Numa Seginti, Teneta Machipa, Numa Seginti, Tenek para Yantaba, Oya Tini Numi Sems the Ranjungri Pare, Tindu Kan, Numi Toulouse, the Kan, Toulouse, the Kala Machipa, Parangana para Rampops Matun, get the Toulouse or Tindu Kana Chigaranzo, Keva, the Tom Gabota, with the Chigaranzo, Yakan, Yaya, get in the Tisha got in the Mayimba, Dudjom which a Kongang took a conscious what the man, Super Pajosa get the Toulouse lave. T. Judge the Congress and New Missems and Zopachimbo, New Sems against the Kajamkai Dorjes, the Zopachimbos against the Rigpas, against the Wassels, against the Deshens, against the Tontachi, Mingjik, the Naker, but Dunjik Mingin Namdans are Mato Chikpares, they do Numa, Sedukana. Ranjung request over it. Toulouse again the tear thinning around so which you may balancing Shechawa as a that taking Mingi.
The specific prayer is entitled A Spontaneous Song of the Genuine Nature. What is meant by genuine nature is the innate mind, the innate nature of mind, spontaneously present or naturally present Rigpa, basic awareness. This is the innate. When we say genuine here, we mean authentic or innate, intrinsic. A spontaneous song means that this is a song that just poured out of Dudjom Rinpoche naturally and spontaneously, without forethought, without contrivance. It's not like kind of song that a musician might sit down and labor over for a long time to write. This just came out of Dudjom Rinpoche spontaneously. That's the type of song it is. And in terms of its content matter, it's a song of the genuine nature, meaning the innate nature of mind, naturally present Rigpa, We could also say the state of the great perfection, great bliss, mahasukha, luminosity. All of these are synonyms referring to the same thing, meaning the innate nature of mind or the natural state.
Oh yeah, that she show se that the ne jocha de things. That one samlo yagu jitana lama yang tu ki sol de nyung tulu lapshana. Pese di go ni juk partu tanda sam jitina la du do kin de du te yore la mazo tine du bi tine kansa sana tine du te be kita te chendi tine cha de res.
So
Di min korom di jocha tamji dinan du de res.
So this is the title of the prayer, a spontaneous song of the genuine nature, a prayer of calling the Guru from afar. And if we look at it like this, we can actually see that the whole contents and contents of the prayer is contained in the title.
Yeah, ta jail ma shake you Congress panjo. Ta ngarang de subject of Shakta Chevaina. Oh, yeah, tini Shimanga para nibi, Shiniki Chuku Sum Salata. She Rigpa Koronga Shila Neve Kusum de Nedevere. Sheila Nevi Kusum de Congress Panje. Rari Tangi Lama Kusum to Sharwa Sedikama. Around Rigpa Korontilla. Maranza Lama di Chilo, Lama Chig Baginichi. Shasha Luigi de Ginjik is a decent marathon, D. Nichols of Council was Lama de la Chi Lama, Nangi Lama, Sangi Lama, Lama Mangoyare. The Lama de la Yena, Yushin Lama, the Sunju Ship, Lama Mango Yagi. That Donda Kangare Sepancho, Lama de Uni Sangi Nashinji Devaina, Chinlup de Sangi Nashinjupa. Lama de Tupatova Nashinji, Tutup Nashinji, Naranzo Mibatan Tabachena, Digi Chin of Jupa. Lama di tine chidange chigalanso kansa thamal dewo chigda chidange tine tashana te lama di silap tian jukyu me ba rese me ba mutna sondo te di ngone re tindu te lama de sangi ngwe dewo tago re te sangi ngwe de la kaso yere yewa chena sangi ngwe de la yewa cheba ina chugu lama lama chugu sigi chigda lama longu seta lama tulgo sangi thamchi de surujina chugu longu tulgo sun nandu go yere tindu kala Lama tiang tene kusum ki ngor ta ke ti shi ne luk tres.
So now to begin going through the prayer itself, and like I said, I will use the outline from my commentary to do this, to give us a structure. So we begin, the prayer begins with the basic state, the ground, sorry. We could say the ground or the foundation, meaning the three kayas that are naturally present within the ground, the basic state of things. And it is the Guru manifesting in the form of these, Guru manifesting in these three kayas that the prayer first addresses. We might, when we say Guru, some of you might, what might come to mind is a human Guru, a Guru you perceive as being a human with a body of flesh and blood. But essentially the Guru, when we say Guru, the ultimate Guru, we're talking about the three kayas. We can talk about a Guru in different ways, outer, inner, and secret Guru. There are actually 30 or 40 different types, or we could say facets to the Guru that can be enumerated, as Longchenpa enumerates in his Yishinzu, treasury in his wish-fulfilling treasury, Yishinzu. Generally, the degree of blessings we receive from the Guru depends on our perception. As Melbourne Rinpoche explains, if we perceive the Guru as a Buddha in person, we receive the blessings of the Buddha. If we perceive the Guru as a Mahasiddha, an accomplished being, we will receive the blessings of a Mahasiddha. If we perceive the Guru as an ordinary being, then we won't receive any blessings. The point being, that being the case, we need to perceive the Guru as the Buddha in person. And what do we mean by the Buddha? Well, there are different divisions or aspects to Buddha or the an awakened being, but all of these are contained within the three kayas. So the natural state of the ground, the natural basic state, refers to viewing the Guru as the embodiment of the three kayas.
Ta shi ngo de kandre sen ngo dene minju totter ge shilu kata tansel shun panguru shukwa chugula ma shi doje kina tawi tenshen to perchinje lobshi ze tambo de lama chugu ngor tena slwata bare tandi chugu te lama pharga je lang surga je slwata ge kansa ta tingi thati to ji ta gyo mare Di kansana doingi ngo lama te rangi rikpare te. Ngo dodne minju tutur shilu de rangi nyungmi ki stemde. Rangi nyala yote ke deshek nyingbo. Tangaran zo doi na deshek nyingbo segere rangjungi ishe segere nyungmi sem segere. O ti indiko rangi tine ya tegi tine shebati sere. Ti te tine ngo tine dodne minju tutur shilu tine yene dumachi rangshin sang yene chautu masong korwa nene dudu masong yene rangshingi naprataba shi nelu tinte rete ore ngaya te tindu kala shi nelu tite ngon den mi tuter ge shilu kata tingsri junu pumguru shukwa tiang chi tong tongjang ro ma yimba tongbi ge rangdang de salwa yimba tingsal ta di tingsal segin de yang toz khebar toz do jidang ge chugu segin de kata segin de chugu ge tonde zoba chugu kata da chugu ni chekpare tindu kanda yang chugu dilan doi ge chugu da nga ge chugu se khebar toz do 지단게 추구스 동반이 저바다 저비기랑 신들 추구스 그거 디데 인인 바레테 옛나야 상아 조바 침부 있네 값수 드네 추구스 겐til라 드네 근데 슈누 봄구르 슈파스라베 추구 띵설 스겐도 야 추구디 나라 드네 랑중기 이시 스탈비기 차이여바데 야 드네 거라파랑아란 소이나 상아게 땅 개버도 조바 침부 추기 캐주리스 띵두강라 추구 띵설이 이렇게 도생이 택바나라 추구 스드강 동바 동장 저바 참지다 저 동바 동장 쓰요마 동바 동장 남다다 만디 사르데 저바단 제비기랑 신이다 뭐 땅아란 쪽에 디나와 셰바나 신제게 우마자와 시럽 나와서에 가바메 바케메 체바메 도메 바스긴데 다시 타기 저바다 제비기랑 신데 추구레스 라브레데 디게 추구 때당 상아 도지 택바니 야네 셰비기 추구 스긴이들 개발 강사 상아 도지 택비기 추구 디티나라 동바 total yimbi ngani ranshin wesla shindo chawa ya tini ti tini krabar tingsil gi ngor o te shugde yore esla tin de kata tingsil shinu pumguru shugba sa chukutila doyi chukutila ya salcha je yore nga ge chukutila salcha yore es chukulama ishi dorji de keno tamani ge zokba chimbo nyamlen shen ondu kala chukulama de shenda mayimba rangi rigpa ya the tanda ge namba latina dunjum jitri ishi dorje se jitri ishi kono tsenda jarware ya tsendi ge tonda de kante orse banjo rangi rigpa de tengore tendu kala lama chilo ma ken jitri ishi dorje rangi ngou rigbi ngor ya jukte wa tiswa chugul lama ishi dorje de keno slavreta lama de chugute ware pemiti ngak kejure lama latin tagi sege na chinchige tine ta rangi tasurki goni chilap tina tina shinge lama sangi sutena sangi ge chilap sangi tutup tena tutup ge chilap sangi latine lama latine chidang ge thamal ge dushi tena chilap jukki mere sunga na chinchige tan dini rangi rikpa koron de tine ishi dorji ngo rangi tsawi tadal tsawi lama khung ngor sharondu o ti sherbatila tini tuhengi goni tini solvata bala keno sellavra tini chugul lama ishi dorje de kenos tandi solvatamni gundum kango solvata tabe ken seginde solvata segin chikbarete soldib seginde ken slavra de tat gubi ki tuhendi kango go dawi tension to par jingirang lobshi la tangal kango dosna dawi ki tension sa jogba chimba tawa ta jogba chimba tawa sena tin tawa yedang chimbo sera tan jindang thamchi tan chal chara ya tine ka degi tine tan dila tawa ge ming chana ma chana dondu ripare tinde kala ta tanda shewa ne kapso tawa lavre ta chitang ge sengi tekba ke chana tawa senge de nyeshi tawa senge de touch loji in se gorate di ne kapso yul farga ta yulchen surga yul dan yulchen ge tine shewe ge tetewe ge tine chi hakowa dan nywa dan tobi ge tawa cheba de se mare di tawa senge tine ishila tawi ki ming taware tindu kangla di neka tawi tension topra chingi lopshi sede kangla jogba chimbu chugu ge tawa titina rangi gyula toba tang dela tine ngarang su kharo tsiki sheba tawa mayimba diongi tangdu tine karapara ngocheba amta nyongwa tenba dondu tawi tension sana ta tengshibu sana tak sheba chitang rangi tine loding kiawa ngarang su pe mido ina re chobo re atan dila lo khel choksa chiyo ngasang aram su tine nga pyoge ina tine lapchilo yore atan di midila ngoni ke samla kago mo tani nga to tine lo iting che shokchi yore sige na chi tawa tila yang ngoni ke shuku tila yang rangla tumu mayimbe ki nyapa chik nga kebar tine di tobar chingilo. Ta ina nditi chigi shedu kanga ta tsigi gontira mashirang shire madoke. Doni kona tawa termit tawi chokslab share. Shwing zona tawa termit share. Tachi thamchu da travi tawa da choktu kirwari lab. Di indu kanga ta titi sawa. Tawa di tanda di seguti. Ta indu kanga te tewi gitini chuku ki tawa te. Tobar dini chingirang lobshi gisandere. Gutine ta chi nambal tena jitri shilo soro tawa tabo. Donda ka samda rang rigbi gitine kong ne tene chuku ngotre batan chuku tene rangi tene undu kirwiki undu kirwa la chingi lobshi gisagi yores. Mga taso.
So the first, we'll look now at the first verse. Here we're supplicating the Dhammakaya Guru. So this is the essence of the ground, or the basic state. The essence of the ground or the basic state is the Dhammakaya. And here we are supplicating the Guru, that aspect of the Guru, the Dhammakaya Guru. When we say the Dhammakaya Guru, we shouldn't understand this as referring like an aspect of a guru external to us. We're actually describing an aspect of our own intrinsic awareness, our own basic Rigpa. This is often described with other names, like in the sutra teachings. It's commonly described as Buddha nature. It's also called spontaneously present wisdom, the innate nature of mind, and so on and so forth. Essentially, we're talking about our naturally present awareness, Rigpa. The first line reads, the essence never changing, the natural unelaborated condition. This is describing Rigpa. The Rigpa that is the nature of, that is our own basic nature. In essence, it is never changing, it's beyond change and flux. It is primordially pure. This is the natural unelaborated condition of basic awareness. This is our fundamental state. It is primordially pure and profoundly luminous, you who dwell in the youthful vase body. So Rigpa of basic awareness is emptiness. It's beyond all constructs, or we could say beyond all extremes and concepts. It is empty, it is emptiness. But we're not talking about just a blank, sort of a blank state or a void state, but rather an emptiness that that has within it an innate clarity. An innate clarity that we could describe as the inner clarity. This is talking about like an intrinsic radiance, a very subtle intrinsic radiance present within the Dhammakaya. So this is what's described in this second line. In the sutra teachings, we also, in the sutra teachings, the natural state of things is also described as being unelaborate or beyond constructs and concepts. That's a more common translation. But the way that's understood in the Vajrayana, and especially in the Great Perfection, is slightly different. We have a deeper understanding, which identifies this profound inner luminosity that is the clarity aspect of naturally present wisdom. So in treatises that pertain to the vehicle of sutras, such as Nagarjuna's treatise on the middle way, we find an explanation of emptiness beyond concepts, which lists the 4 or 8 extremes as being free of coming and going, arising and cessation, and so on. That is how Dhammakaya is understood in the sutra context. But as I said, in the Vajrayana, and especially in the Great Perfection context, it is understood not to just be emptiness free of extremes, but also it's also understood to be referring to this profound inner luminosity. The third line reads, Dhammakaya Guru Yeshe Doje, care for me. The author of Dudjom Rinpoche, his name was Dudjom Yeshe Doje. So that is the Yeshe Doje we're talking about here, Jito Yeshe Doje. And when we supplicate the Guru here, we are supplicating not like an external person, an external being, Jito Yeshe Doje, but rather the nature of our own mind, because the essence of our own mind, the Dhammakaya essence of our own mind, is by its very nature Jito Yeshe Doje, inseparable from Jito Yeshe Doje. When we, as I said just a moment ago, when we can perceive or understand the Guru to be the Buddha, and also when we can understand that the Buddha is present in our own mind, within our own basic awareness, the blessings that we can receive, the blessings that we can receive correspond to our understanding. So if we can perceive the Guru as the Buddha, we receive a Buddha's blessing, and so on. If we can understand that our own Rigpa is in essence, Jito Yeshe Doje is in essence the Buddha, then the blessings that we'll receive, we will receive blessings correspondingly. Fourth line, inspire me to gain the vast assurance of the view. This is what we're requesting. So the first 3 lines are lines of prayer or supplication, ending with care for me. So we're praying for the Dhammakaya Guru to look upon us, we could say. And then with the 4th line, we make a request. What are we requesting? What are we requesting? We're requesting the blessings or inspiration that we can gain the vast assurance of the view. We're talking here about the view of the great perfection, the vast open view of the great perfection that is beyond all grasping and all extremes. In the vehicle of characteristics, the term view commonly refers to a type of confidence or certainty, an outlook imbued with confidence. But here the view in the great perfection context is referring to a state utterly beyond concepts, beyond something to be viewed and viewed, seen and seer. So rather we're talking about, when we say view, we're talking about primordial wisdom. We're supplicating that we can gain vast assurance, the deepest kind of confidence, meaning not just like a conceptual understanding or a book level understanding, but actually experience and direct realization of this view. You might have a friend who, it's possible to have a friend who you just trust completely with your whole being, right? We can use that kind of trustworthy friend as an example to understand what we mean here by vast assurance, that kind of depth of unwavering confidence. And again, we're going through the text here, and when communicating, we have to communicate using words. So there's no, we end up talking in terms of subject and object, seer and seen and so on. But what we're referring to here, what we're describing, is beyond such duality, beyond such concepts. So in short, we're supplicating the Dhammakaya Guru that is the essence of our own mind, supplicating so that we can actualize realization of our own basic awareness from within.
Ya tatawi tingjido ta ipadere ranshin manga ta lama lungur srota bala ranshin manga sungju osel ge chobo hutum ngepa ngatin rolwara shopa lungul lama desin doje dikedo gobita sin zobar chi ye lobshe isre ta Rigpa ji chuku di tongba de Rigpa chuku re de Rigpa de salwa de la lungu se ta Rigpa khorang ngo da doksha do ye ne ta chigla kebro yo ma ngo ta ranshin da tuji sub de chikpar ngo chigla dokpa thate se gore ta peje keje shena Tina the teen do kamata don't be gichani in a chuku slabjare. Ranshin whistle we gichani, young whistle sitting around the local parking salad of Tinder, Namsa meet them to Tinder, Salu sitting locked the Nimasha to get with tongue again. Tinder salwas a tit, Dujig salwar, tit, Jays trapare, catching mare, tichi mare, then T whistles again the Chanchachil go. And did it the neck around the page sound the gala, Rigpa cronging over the salva in Bigichani. That is was in a deeper mipitondare, Madipa, Kangetine, Dipa, the Yomon, Dipa, Madipa, Donna Chato, maybe Dibba, Tamji, Tavatilla, Wasel Wikitanya Tashere. The Inducantati, Wasel till at the Mingtavaina, we mean Dana Lungus in Mintasher. The Inducant, Ranshin Manka, Sunju, Wasel, get Chombu, Slavery. That it a year, more than Ranshin, you got Tati, those Kosona and Dimmer. The Inducala, Ripa Krongi quality sumshis, the Tatare, Tilla, Ngojila Dopa Tatis, Rigpa don't you chatela, chukus, 이 랑신 오슬비기 차지요다. 캔짜기 차지요래. 캔비기 차들라 강랍고르스나 송주 오슬기 촌부스 오슬스나랑 릭파스레 이시스레 오슬스겐데 릭비기 던데 뉴미기셈레 촌부스들 망부지기 던다레. 이는 룬중에 빵가된 라바식바스다 룬궁에 빵가된 슬라우라 카주르 두덴스 게 빵가된세 구응에 바트네 지 두잉에 바 코르게 바 드네 추잉에 바 두잉에 바스게 빵가된스레 띵에 빵가된 다들은 제가 먹고 잡는다 윤주 상황이 빼티 코로나 윤주 상황이 거나 대망업 주지 이 분좀 소방하라는 데셔 분좀 소바들 치 분좀 소방 안 나고 상을 분좀 가봐 다 된데 탑람 당선 망부 자르겨래 다 된데 먹고 람나 알아서 뒤에 생겨 말이라 당에 차성도 된사 말이 있는 초벌부터 ting기도 인데 론죽 예방 나든 롤바르 싶어서다 상기 롱구도 슈사 가와 슈거레세나 롱구신가 슈거레 야 되는 예방 나든 슈거레 추굴라마데 가와 슈거레세나 되네 까딱 띵슬기 추구 있더니 주는 봉구를 슈거레 추굴라마데 슈는 봉구를 슈거 롱굴라마데 예방 나든 슈거레스나 롱굴라마 대신 도르지디 켈로스다 라마 롱구슬로 내가서 눈주름 버지게 센들라 대신 도르지에스네 티톤네 눈주름 버지게 생게 남당식래 한테 대신 도르지에스 롱구고 다운데 강라 눈주름 버지데 대신 도르지디 켈로스나 도진 온올다데 다 디네가 롱구로 슬었다니 강사 곰비 짜친 쪽으로 신기라고 마시겠다 고바 쪽으로 신비 고바스레 마곰부고 바 곰비 쪽으로스나 그래 디인데 곰tem에 바스라 그래 디인데 강 쪽으로 신부스게 야 로주고는 곰주죠 말해 로주고 곰주 연애때 쪽으로 신부야 말해 디인데 다들 롱제 먹고 장기 어렸을 때 먹고 장 듣으면 되겠다 싶어서 직 조사서 디인데 강라 디더랬니 곰비 짜친 쪽으로 신기로 오세다 곰바티 티네가 타신비게 된데 디인데 곰비 짜친 쪽으로 신기랑 로시 슬라비 네 롱구라마 대신 도르지라 서왔다네 야 되네 따왔던 곰바니 쪽바신비 따왔 디체 대 쪽바신비 곰바티라 랑게 되네 땡토바당 쌀소바당 템바토비기 체도 어디니 서왔다 바래 다 이네 디 서와데 실도 기 서와데 나을 탭고 탭규티 랑기 셈빙 올 탭고 열마다 뭐 동바스긴데 타데죠 랑신 서와스긴 타데죠 말 디인도 탐시 셈빙 올 조트바til라 저거 디인도 간다 곰바티안 셈당 조거마도 시 퍼저죠 조탄기죠 말 곰비 짜친 조거를 진기랑 로시스
Now we come to the second verse, which is a supplication to the Sambhogakaya Guru, the luminous nature. So we covered supplication to the Dhammakaya Guru, the primordially pure essence. Now we have the Sambhogakaya Guru, the luminous nature. We can talk about when we talk about the three kayas as they are present within basic awareness. We talk about the Dhammakaya as being the empty essence of awareness, Sambhogakaya as the luminous nature, and the Nimanakaya as the compassionate or unimpeded capacity. It's important we understand that these are all descriptions of different qualities or facets of a single awareness, a single intrinsic awareness. They're not separate things, and they're also not external things. These are actually present within our own basic awareness, our own Rigpa. So here we're supplicating what's described as the nature of mind. And this nature is said to be luminous. What do we mean by luminous? A lot of people these days interpret this as referring to actual like visible illumination, like a light, whether it be natural or artificial. That is not at all what this term luminosity or clarity, we could also use that word. That's not what we're talking about. Visible light is a conditioned phenomenon. It is momentary and changing. Rather, we're talking about innate clarity of awareness, which refers to the natural cognizance or natural clarity of Rigpa. Basically, this is describing the lack of obscuration within Rigpa, basic awareness. Rigpa, from its own side, is utterly free of all obscurations, the afflictive obscuration, cognitive obscuration, and so on and so forth. This freedom from obscuration is described as luminosity, described with that word. In terms of a kaya or enlightened body, then it's called the Sambhogakaya. But to reiterate, we must understand that all of these, that when we separate these qualities and describe them separately, like the empty essence of Dhammakaya, the luminous nature of Sambhogakaya, we're describing a single unified nature, but in terms of its different qualities. Actually, these qualities aren't separate, but just for the sake of communication, then they're described, they're articulated in this way. So that's what the first line of the second verse is describing, the nature unceasing, the mandala gathering of the union of luminosity. The second line reads, you who dwell in the spontaneously perfect display, complete with the five certainties. So this Sambhogakaya, the luminous nature of mind, dwells or abides within the perfect pure realm of the endowed with the five certainties, which are the perfect teacher, teaching, retinue, place, and time. We can talk about these five perfections on many levels, outer, inner, secret, and so on. To really go into detail and do justice to these five perfections, we would have to turn to the Guru Garbha Tantra and give a detailed explanation of that, but we don't have time to do that today, do we? So we won't go into all of those details. We could ask, where does the Sambhogakaya abide? Well, it abides in the Sambhogakaya pure realm, replete with the five certainties. Likewise, where does the Dhammakaya Guru abide? It abides in the youthful vase body. The third line reads, Sambhogakaya Guru Deshin Doje, care for me. So with this, we're calling to the Sambhogakaya nature, the luminous nature of mind, using one of Dudjom Rinpoche's names, Deshin Doje. Deshin Doje was one of Jidro Yeshe Doje's names. Finally, we come to make our request or our actual supplication, which is, inspire me or bless me to perfect the great strength of meditation. When we talk about meditation in a great perfection context, we're not actually talking about a kind of training that involves any concept or effort or contrivance. It's said that that meditation is non-meditation. Non-meditation is the supreme type of meditation. So we are supplicating that we may perfect the strength or the capacity, perfect our realization of such meditation.
Yeah, ta nipate sarashe. Ta Rigpa ge ngo tongpate chuguche, ngo rangshin sarabate longuche. Tuji kunjab je tulgu slabre. Ta ti tene tulgu kanresan tuji cholong tawa taruge ishe kunjab ridong jembe ngo ora shiwa. Tulgu laman dondu lingbate keno chobi bokshin jangwara shinge lo shi ese. Ta tuji cholong tawa sa diktangla. Ta yagene ngo tang rangshin da tuji ese. Ta ti tuji de gagba meba. Tuji de cholung meba. Di sangi chitang ngaranzo ke pamake putukla tsewa chigi yo re, gyalkap ke ina ya mimangla chigi tato chigi yo re, punja ina chigi tsewa chigi, tsewa tamje cholung shorke tanzo. Ngaranzo rangi cheta, ngi punja, ngi putuk, ngi gyalkap, ngi sacha se, ta tamje chigi sempa sanga zo tamje ina ya chigi rangshok da shenshok ke kebar chino cholung shorte wale, takshe ke chosulung de wale. Ngani ke rang dan shengi chosulung de wale. Di indu kangla, sangi ki tine tuji chenlap segi di kanda jire sang cholung zane malungwa. Oh ya te indu kala chi rang dang shen segen da wudang. Oh ya gyalkap shen sare san kya wala poda mora segen tindu chani mayamba. Ti mayim batil kala san zimba chani ma shuwa chi gora ma to zimba chi shuwa sabi chi su choklung shato ware. Ti indu kala tukji choklung trawa tatlu ki ishe se ti tukji se na yang gakba mebi ishe de. Gakba mebi ishe di kaala yang chatang megen di ini korongi quality sinada korongi tsingi dire. Sangi ke tukdi rangi marang soyana chadang ro zayin yo mari yin du kangla tan de lurgi rungu ro sheki du de ta lurgi rungu shenani tuzu jiga yo ma chuzu jiga de karma chunga chuzu jiga de karma chu yar mar chuzu jiga de karma yisyang du si de ta chuzu jiga zo sa so de de kangla dene shiu lurgi so sheki lu tuzu ya min du la dene ra dene re yin du kangla ta tuji cholung na tarwa taru ge shi se ti Rigpa khorong ge yang yuan den chi Rigpa khorong ge ngo ji she ge yore kunchab rigdong jimbi ngoro shikwaasa. Tan tini semchen tamchila chab deware mato ke rigla tumi kewala fumu suchikla mayimba ngaranzo sem yuzer zingla ngaranzo mi mase chike chata mbuya ju chikla desha nyingbo semchen tamchila chab deware. Ti indu kaan di kunchab sikin tesere. Oya ngaranzo ina jambal sinchun nangla yang tina sungsha yore. Oya ti indu kaan la tina shin chike jindla sangwa nyingbo nangla ta lungten mangu tangla tizo ke junsen Nalaya so good tangy Nala Simjan Tam Jasangi, Oji Timilo Timidus Lassa, that Lung Japsama, Simjan Tamjila chapter. The chapter, the Anangazo Tamji and Sangi, Tuju Quintabi, other chapter, other Tamja Sangi, doing the Sangi. Doing the Sangi in the young around to get tea, she about the young bit dips on it. Pena Nima Tingi Jab, you made it Nima the Tingi Jab, Nima Nangamari. Or Petin, I think around so young, Sekora Tomo maybe getting Tibata Pasaka Wangi, Rangi Shigi, she didn't tongue mere. The Indio Kanata, Tantang around the Titi and on the Kurgoyer, Tuchi Chon Trava Tarugi, Kunja Redon Jimbing over Shuba. Oh, young around so again, dig it in a Timmy put on a Chugu, she the sugar. But did want to Chever Chevala, another Lamangur, Casilla, Chosa, Chaza, Koraja, Legend, Cashin Yambatan, Cashin Lago, Nande, the Cashin Talung Tigli, and Ramida Mangoyore, Ranlu Tapden, Shelling Tapden, Tamango, Church to get Tartu get Rigbango to Gira Tevatan, Tuju Cholong Telvi, Ishi, Ranjungi, she want to see Tatare. Gasheton to Shikan, Koachi, Sasondo, and Ala Gudnala. Gasheton and a Koachi, Tatu Sangi, Kowanto Gutangaran, so Ranjungi, Ribangundo, Tapsistam Jere. The Induta, Ranjungi, she want to shake Tap Sashuti, Mushu the Kansana, then it's Ovachim Ripatri, Ranga Ripatatan, Lami, go to be Ripatale Yapoji. Gomdi Yaputi Chene, Tichitavaina, Lama Yaputi, Rangi, and Muni Yamni Yaputi Chevaina. Tenichi Kewa Manguchi, the Kalwa Manguchi, the Matopi, Kewa Chila Yantini, Riquangotine, Sangi, Tensing, USA. USA Katung Batam, love Joan Mari, Chung New Kanjal, Jambang Yusang Atamjia, Zopashimbo Ribonga, Ketchik said Lijik la Sankin and Jaluto Gan, Shungan Namkala. Chatter the Provasajin and Butter than to a shun on a yatter than to what more to be talking about the around the per conscience on a sat and dotam Shabjiga Masha never to talk Masha will never when a per conscience on the dance holy place in edges, holy place money. At the end, you can send them to the Congressana, dig Ranjungi, she's of Washington Lam and Chichi Sangi can Manguchung. Then to tang around to Tamjela, Tete reported Tamjel year and other Tamjel year by him Councilla, in Nayang, Gob Yang Matu. Lama Yago Mate, Deba Yago Machon, Deba Shamato, Gum Yamato Tikala, then around to Korachap there. What the Indigata, the with the telling around the lumps of watching button, Lamas of watching button, shoes of watching button, Tarang, and Tajurki Million, which is Topic, Tonda, then big Chever Chetu, that's all on Malam Tamni. Oh, ya Quinch of Ridon, Jimbing over Shugwasata, around Tamji Shug de Tulgulaman Dunduling, but the Keno, Tatanga Siltana, the Dudjom, Jigri Dojilla, oh, yeah, Dunduling Basigo, Terdung gets an alcohol Dunduling Basigo. Then Dukala, Tulgulaman Dunduling, but the Keno, the Talamala Sorotamne, Dondago Kanasana, Rang and Nangri, but they are going to give it today. Sorba the neck of Sultan around the Degli Matava, Sananda, around the neck of Tecker, Rigpa Nang Sorotas and Tapshi Marva. Go to me to Kala, then it Dudjom getting Oria Tane, then Castle and Eatene, oh yeah, Tulvigilam and Dunduling by the Keno, Choppy Boxing Chapachin, that's a Ligilla. Then a chopper boxing of watching Chopati Pemigita, oh Chopatita, Chopatilla, Yan Nancy, Eva and Mangu day. Then it's a watching big Chopa Latra was in your gets the shoot the Chopa Latra was in your. Oh yeah, Tate Vigi Chopi Latra was a Tikala, on Chopala Tintin that means in the Chopa Tamjit and tell the Viki. Chopa Tamje, Chunala Remutiva Nation, Namki, Dungurjeva Nation, Dulki Dobashik Nation, Tindigi. Randu guitar and Runga in a Chixon get other Tinzugit in boxing was and boxing a Yarkesser, Capsanser, indication perfect in a Chixido. Oh, Yatini Pemig, Gonia Yarke, Tindoyan, what the Chinky Lopshi, Sulamolam Tabna, Dudjom Limbala, Kanjan and Molam Tabna, Rangi, but going to curate the Molam Taburis. That is it, Master. Yeah.
So now I come to the third verse. The third verse, where we're supplicating the manifestation of the Namanakaya Guru, the compassionate self-display. So we've supplicated the Guru in the form of the Dharmakaya Guru, the empty essence, in the form of the Sambhogakaya Guru, the luminous nature, and now in the form of or in terms of the Namanakaya Guru, of unceasing or unobstructed compassionate display, or compassionate capacity. It's often translated like that. The first line reads, the compassion unlimited wisdom that is free from extremes. Or we could say with unlimited compassion and wisdom that is free from extremes. This is describing enlightened compassion, awakened compassion. It is unlimited, it's impartial, and it's free of all extremes. The love that and compassion that we might have for, say, our friends and family and people close to us, it is limited, conditioned, and it's also partial. We don't have limitless, unbiased love. That our love is always contaminated, or it's always limited by the duality of self and other, by that basic clinging to self and in response to self, other. Because Buddha, or we could say the awakened state, is utterly free of that kind of dualistic grasping, free of all attachment and clinging, then there are no such distinctions, there is no duality, and therefore there is no limit and partiality to the Buddha's compassion, the Buddha's love. As soon as we have grasping, then we have partiality and limitation. So being an attachment that is utterly free, a love that is utterly free of attachment, is a quality, a hallmark of the awakened state. There's a beautiful story that I could tell, and many stories actually, to illustrate this. But we are our time is so limited. I'm trying to get through the text very fast, but already an hour has passed, so we'll have to skip the story. Second line reads, "You who dwell in the essence of all-pervasive naked awareness and emptiness." This is describing our basic awareness, basic Rigpa. And the fact that this is present in the minds of all beings, or present as the basic nature of all beings. When we say all beings, we mean literally all beings without exception, including all insects, bugs, and every creature. This essence, a naturally present Rigpa, it pervades all beings. That's why it's said to be all pervasive. It literally permeates and is the fiber of every being. This is backed up and pointed out by hundreds of tantras, like the Manjushri Samgiti Tantra, the Hevajra Tantra, the Buyagaba Tantra, and so on, but we don't have time to share those quotations. Essentially, the point is that in essence, we are all the Buddha. We can say we are all enlightened, meaning essentially our ultimate nature is enlightened. However, temporarily, we've become obscured by adventitious delusion, a bit like a sky that is obscured by clouds. So our essential nature is awakened, but that awakened nature is not presently manifest. It's not visible to us. We are not able to make manifest our intrinsic primordial wisdom. So, and that is indeed what we need to do. We need to manifest our basic nature, primordial wisdom, and free ourselves from the shroud of obscurations, from the cocoon of obscurations. In order to do that, then we engage in Dharma practice, right? All the different types of Dharma practice, whether it be study or all the different methods for accumulating merit and purifying obscurations, chanting mantras, different types of meditation, doing kora, deity yoga, mantra recitation, the different types of yogas using one's own body and others' body, and so on and so forth. All of these are methods for purifying obscurations and manifesting our true nature. But what is the supreme method? The supreme, most profound, and also most effective method? Well, that is the method taught by the Great Perfection, which is recognizing and training in naturally present Rigpa, basic awareness. To do that, we need to meet a realized guru, have them introduce us to our own nature of mind. We need to recognize that, and then we need to train in it. If we do that, then it is very possible to attain awakening, full awakening, or at least a stable level of accomplishment within this very lifetime. This is not just a story. It's not just some kind of statement, empty statement. We can see proof of these possibilities when we look at the hundreds and hundreds of practitioners in Tibet up till recent times who attained accomplishment by practicing like this. We can look at the life stories of the 25 heart disciples of Guru Rinpoche, for instance, and all of the great masters, those who attained rainbow body, manifested rainbow body, and displayed wonderful signs of accomplishment, like leaving footprints and handprints in solid rock. Wherever you go in Tibet, there's not a single mountainside that is not marked by a footprint or a handprint. Those kinds of so-called miracles can be performed through the power of realization of the nature of mind. So Tibet is often described as a holy place, and indeed it is. The point is that all of us have Rigpa, that is our basic state, naturally present awareness. However, up until now, we have been wandering through the 3 realms of samsara. Because we have failed to meditate properly, we haven't been able to meet genuine teachers, and we haven't been able to maintain our faith, our confidence, and follow through with practice. However, now we find ourselves with the precious human body that's so difficult to obtain. We've all met genuine teachers, we've received Dharma teachings. So if we want to make this extraordinary circumstance we find ourselves in meaningful, then just as the supplication says, Namanakayo Guru Drodro Lingpa, I pray to you, or care for me. Drodro Lingpa is yet another name of Jigjo Yeshe Doje. So here again, we're making a supplication. Although our own basic awareness is already enlightened, essentially, we're not able to recognize that directly. So we supplicate to our Rigpa in the form of the Namanakayo Guru Drodro Lingpa as a means for us to recognize. It's like we're supplicating Drodro Lingpa so that we can rediscover our own true nature through his nature. Inspire me to master the great enhancement of action. So the previous 2 verses in the last lines referred to the view and the meditation. Now we're talking about action or conduct. We're supplicating that we can master conduct, the supreme type of conduct, which is transcendental conduct, a type of conduct that's free of all fixation. Again, there's a huge amount to be said about this type of transcendental conduct. It's endowed with 5 types of spontaneous liberation and so on. In short, engaging in this type of conduct enhances our realization of Rigpa incredibly. So we supplicate Drodro Lingpa. Why? Because we wish to master the great enhancement of action. That's
Kansa tata ngado zogba chimbu te shida lamdan jewusi she go indu tangbo shigi nesul tila ngo tongbo chugu rangshin sarwalang go tuji kunjo tudugu seti kusum de she go yore kusum tiyang tene ngo tate mare chigre ngo chigpa re ten de kala ngo ngone she ge na chugu ta longu tudugu sum la kyabar ka yo mare ten de kala chugu tiyang sangye re longu tiyang sa tudugu tiyang sangye re inna yang तारांचे दोचिक गुण ये होने का उसो तेने मोहतों बच्चों रांशन सवालों को तुझे कुछ जो टुरकू उसने आशा बार तीन नाशिन जी के ता शुंग चंबो चला शेना तो चुकू तो लोगों के सेंगी ता तेजो गुण ये बात तो जो रहते तो अंदर गुण शेपा ये ने चुकू लोगों टुरकू सुन के चिक पचे सारे तीन आना शेगे तें चुकू लसलवात ने तवी की तें तबर होचे लोगों लसलवात अपने गुंबी साल शेन तबर होचे टुरकू लसलवात अपने चुबी बॉक्सिंग जमर सलवात तब तंग सोसो लामा yang chen yang soso ngo ya tene che chu kusum dia chugu lungu soso soso de shedo ta tinde jingi dulji ki kamdo wangbo tamje dorwa chebi cheto tinde ji sungre mado ke tonda koron shena tawala ya tawata gomba chepala keparcha yo mare tawatar me gomba gomdo me chepache me du topto mi esnore tartu ge nilu gi tawala tawa segenche soso yo mare jogba chembola gomba singen sudri me chepa segen yo soso yo mare tamji chigre tagong go chigre ya te tagong go chigbe yina te tawa다 gomba mogshene 강치고 가르티 돈다메 두주 촐라 레베스라나 디야 마레 디인도 윤진실에서 방주 나란 속에 시기 내들 것이나 디니 운이게 타와 gomba 쳬바야 요 마레 상기 추구 롱고 뚫고 예와야 요 마레 이나야 나라도 람슈기 깨고 나란서 람라 슈기 깨고서 라이나 Tini oda chugu tamje ngo rashi tong tamje chugu tam chigre la sha bo ngato lam dudang shei ge mare lam la dudang ma shi tini kansa ge na ge tini tawa yang go re gomba yang go re choba yang go yore tin diula yang ngaran zo chugu da longo til go se tini kusum la yang kebar go yore di indi sangi chom den dige dige tawa do gomba lam song tanda me song jo mare ngaran zo tamje lam la jugur chebi chedu tita song mare ngaran zo go dilang song do 단단 알아서 디나르바 디 도두바 나인 사요 야 티네가 택반 디네 카다 남카 택반 디네 카다 디네 택반되네 칸다 샬메 강첸데 어레 택반되네 칸다 샬메 강첸데 가기 대왕 오브르트지 택비죠 대강순에 샘진 담제 양은 도스라베 다딜 들 데모고 니 강세 반죠 택반 세긴들라 사바다 야치와 니요레 진조 탐체티 오니 가기 대왕 오브르트 상기 고봉 토르지 탑레스라베 딜 택바들 얘나 땡니 택바랑 겠다 장주스메자 다딜란 지균나긴 라스베 택바람 뭐 굴라서 바단테니 규기디게 신나실라 망고시와레 진조tam doing it to keep it because mare neko lamlo dribi ongbola kamda ongbo rembala teni tekbi remba mangboji chong yore lamgi remba mangboji cha yore te mongboda te dandan de yang dodondi ngo rangsin tuju sun chigre ngo rangsin tuju kunjup sakin rikpa chigre marang so rikpa chig ti rikpa chig de tene ta marang so lam dribi neka bata de chin lamgi dodang de goni an diula ena kebrasha tawa goni kepra gomba chebasa kya ta tartu korashena tawa gomba chebatian chigre tartu tubje chugu tigli nya chu chigre oya tene doing korashena tubje tan tawa grashin re de ina neka tan lam pento mare ten du ko ngarang so lam drug wa indu tangbu shi ne sulte ha ko ore shi ne sulte ngorang sin tuju kunju ge dangi jinte rangchung ge rikpa re es rikpa da rikpa khorong de ngodi kanre resena dumach re es ti ha ko ormado ta ti tanda shi tawat ne la phabi ge hada magon zoba chim ha ko rang yoma perna ben ge gres pe mi ge ta ngano da ge go nanda menda do dang sang khara ta de shi tre ina kan se do tin menda ge ne sal jangyu do ta ti jang ina menda ge phagi ben posa te ha mago ko ga shin te shujuk de ja pen to marwa 당부 슈사기 밴드 가와레 고코르고 나고도 뭐보다 먹고도 길 코롱들 쉬고 여러분 길 코롱들 쉬어 쳐발라 당부 슈사기 시디 하고 와라 인디 조바 심부 그 따와데 땡라 밤에 조바 심부 따와데 또 고였나 당부 조바 심부 쓰긴데 누구 쪽서도 가와레 릭바디 컨트리지 릭비기 퀄리티디 컨트리 하고 릭바 퀄리티디 컨트리 오랑 신 두지 군서 숨들레스라 야 딜라 컨트리셔선 따와 고바 쳐봤으면 요레스 तावाते कमरे से तावाते ने येतां चंपु गोंबाते ने चतुल ट्रावा चोपाया ते ने कृपा लांतर ट्रावा लादेवा ता तिसुम गोरे ते तिसुम गोन यामले गोरे ता दोदो सुरते ना बैंक होती रिक्पा रहते रे रिक्पा एवाशिना तेने मंगो शेग्यो रे इशेले शेना तिना हिं पे मंगो शेग्यो रे इशेले येना यान दो ना के ने शी खबर ता तेने मंगो लामना मारान सो थाम जंग गोनारो ता 지 두저 돌아돌아로 지레때 다 있나양 당부 시기 내술다 계신 개바 랍사서 다 달린 디플레트 제마텔라 다 시기 리과 두마체 띵 안줄라 컨디션이 랑게 줄에 깨고래 따와 고는 냠는 컨디션 거래 곰비 고는 냠는 컨디션 쮸비 가는 냠다 디 고마 셰게래 당이 돈듀 시나 시코랑 내술도 있잖아 뭐 고데오시 바이나 따와 양다 드비기 티네 균나 찌어서나 똥라 챵바 남카다고 스릭바 드레지르사 똥발라 똥바임바 찹되가 남카티 마치 왔사지 오마르바 페나가랑 디 잠불링 찹되어레라 디나싱다 글렉시 나라 카스여다 제와 뚱길 망고지게 카르마다 카첸 다와다 니마 라서고 여러바 나랑 준디 니말레게 호살 단다 여르세도 당아도 때 요사마 다와다 니마 이 체쇼 여르살데 딜레장 잡탐 망고 동다 뭐 여레 진조 탐지디야 남칼레 만데와 남카 진조 탐지레 찹되어 오페 데나싱 랑중그 리바티 티시쿨라 찹되어 나랑도 탐지라 랑중그 리바티 여여바 인디가 아나티 리과디 캡되어데 리과디 컨트리스 캡되어스나 무부 제스트비 캡어서 무부 제스트비 캡 말에 디 인디가 디디 컨트리스 반체 동라 캡바 남카다 오스 이시고는 따다기 오랑신 투주 군축기 당이징이랑신 셈진 탐지를 캡더 빼나 오 동바 임바 강신라 캡되기 배셔나 남카나신 남카 탐지를 캡되어래 남카 쓰긴데 믹스 주투 사진 오부지요 말 어디인데 똥라 캬파스 남카다고 스릭바디 딘데지요레스 똥라 캬바 남카다고 Tima mepa menshel tao, tima tani ga shell menshel segin ga shell tima tao chinang tam sang sing yore. Marang to Rigpa di dön number tao. Tima tani go ma yore. Ina ya lobur ki tima go ni ngan kapsung korwa chap de yore. Yin du kala o ya tima tan tao menshel tao. Ta korong gi shi korong ga nilu she gore. Shi korong ga nishul de tine tima tam je tao menshel tao re. Giruba mepa doji tao takpa re la. Ti Rigpa tila tine metapa mare. Rigpa takpa re. 딱바디 간르스나 도지 떠스 다 도지리 시나 도지 추 드는스시 미체바 미식바 템바타와 탐제 토반 바스다 망고 셰겨 나나 귤라마 초당 어야 되네 상완이 고잖아 먹고 다 된소 먹고 셰 되는 거 두서 막 띵듀 간라 란중 그리피기 ngo디서 워다다 네캅라 셰파라 딱바르신데 뇽바라 알아서 셰파지 딱바지 용답자오 말에 나랑도 통겐 고겐 딱바르세 말다 셰피기 ngo디 란중 그 이시디 민기로 되네 거봐 도지 떠 딱바르야세 신뢰 탐지 중앙 이신게 너루다고 했다. 나랑서 이신 너루 솔라타나 더기 탐지 저게 나신지게 빼난 이신 단데도 당사 가는 리페딩이 하고 오게면. 나랑서 이 벽이 깨자라 군대 군중에서 이신게 너루지어레스. 디라 솔와 강단한 고바디 두그리스 당와티 라고다 당사 데다 아요다. 당사네 페샤데 인사라고 다 페샤들 솔라타나 탐지 두두겐도. 티인도 강랑만 있는 군대 군중에서는 뭐죠? 군대 군중에서는 디라 솔와타바이나 도바탐지 중투고요레스. 꽤 대신도 ranjung Rigpa tela solo molam tapki ina tila tela ngazo chitru chine tila sarwa tawa gumba ki tana ngazo diwan top top gare shiwa geba wang tabu ki le tham chiya drup taba indi gundu kunjungwa ishingi nuru tawos tas shire swa salla minga pa nima tawos ta na nima meosar udo kain chachari nima parasa thamji thonde do ranjung Rigpa tinga rang lok ina on cheche pa chasle thamji makin wa chiga meba 상기 미킨 받은 미식과 찍어요 말아. 오페 다시 란중 그릭과 단다 딥는 거 상이 안도 디바 탐지 잘해서 상기 좀 있는데 안도 캠버 또 있으면 식바랑 상기 강 캠버는 안도 통통 그래. 상기 강식 받은 안도 그식도 그래. 캔스기 연된 탐지 란중 그릭과 된대요. 된대 강라 딜라 강페샤는 살라미가 봐 님이 인고다 오스님마다 때 디가디 rangjung Rigpi kitne ta chisore chumpe sen tira chumper chi pere ta pete pechin chikta ingu marwa ina peigo ne tene pechin peigo ne tene koram ngaranso pechin de tene hakko go tene Rigpa korange ta qualities injigena qualities da rangshin da ude tene jere ta tene deshan ga samare deshan ga girwa mikti di giro ta kaban chusu go do de desha ten ti gel ta pe ya go chalan ti ya shidi shasa ta tene gomjagi tos lela tingi ta dine ma plate niwatela tene country generic par tawa country re tang anjo tawa tagi shegen tawa de chinja ge nyamlin chi de tawa de country chi go do te gomba de country chang go do choba de country che go do te timar shegen ta de during the paragraph ni suma don ro ma son te ina ya nyanga sa shu den ro sa tene de o to ta shin da lela cha do de.
So we've talked about the Dharmakaya and Sambhogakaya and Nimanakaya gurus. We've made supplications to them, the empty essence, luminous nature, and the unobstructed compassionate capacity. These are all descriptions, the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nimanakaya, the essence, nature, and capacity, are descriptions of the ground, the nature of Rigpa, the basic nature of Rigpa, we could say the nature of Rigpa in the essential ground. In the Great Perfection teachings explain the ground, meaning the basic state of things, in terms of the three kayas. So this presentation of three different kayas or enlightened bodies is made, but we need to understand that these three kayas are presented just as descriptions of qualities held by a single nature. So one essence with various facets. All of them are qualities of the Buddha or qualities of the awakened state. This is the basic nature of things. We then have, so this is the basic nature of things presented to us as the ground. We then have the presentation of the path and the result. When we talk about the scriptures talk, just as we find in this prayer here, a presentation of these three kayas. In the scriptures we'll also find various presentations of the three kayas, often with further divisions, like internal divisions, different types of Dharmakaya, for instance. So they can be talked about in a lot of detail. But the point is, we need to understand that essentially they are identical, they are inseparable. All of these different qualities described in terms of the three kayas are essentially an identical, unified nature. So the object of our supplication in these opening three verses is the three kayas. What we're supplicating for is to perfect the view, meditation, and conduct of the great perfection. And the specific object of our supplication is, for instance, the Dhammakaya Guru Yeshe Doje, Sambhogakaya Guru Deshin Doje, and then Namanakaya Drodha Rinpa. You might think that if essentially in the basic state of things there are no distinctions, there are no divisions, if essentially these are all of a single unity, then what's the point in making all these elaborate and perhaps complicated distinctions? Maybe this is all just kind of meaningless and not necessary. That is not the case. There are reasons, important reasons, to make these distinctions and differentiations. Indeed, at the level of the basic state, the ground, there are no such divisions, no such distinctions exist. However, if we're just presented immediately with the natural state of things and told that the natural state of things is beyond distinctions, it's a single universal tigle and so on and so forth, there's no way for us to actually approach that. As a means for us to get to know and to rediscover our natural state, then Buddha presents us with a path. And this path, for our own sake, involves these distinctions. We're given certain frameworks, like the framework of ground, path, and fruition. Likewise, the framework of view, meditation, and conduct, a presentation of the three kayas, for instance, so that we have some kind of way, some apparatus to rediscover or approach our basic nature and to work to that end. So yeah, in short, all of these distinctions and details are not meaningless. They're actually extremely significant and meaningful. There are part of these distinctions are the various vehicles that are enumerated, such as the 9 vehicles, we also have the 4 classes of Tantra, the 6 classes of Tantra, and so on. The various vehicles all have both vast and profound qualities, and they're all skillful means for reaching awakening. So just to beat this point home, all of these distinctions are made from the perspective of the path. These distinctions do not apply to the ground, the natural state of things, but they're all made from the perspective of the path for practitioners in the process of training. But they do not exist in the natural state itself. We talk about the 3 kayas, the essence, nature, and capacity. We enumerate these different qualities, although essentially they are a single nature. It's really important that to begin with, we correctly identify the state of the great perfection. We identify naturally present Rigpa. Otherwise, our practice can be moving in the wrong direction, a bit like shooting an arrow away from the target. If you want to strike the bullseye, first of all, you need to get your eyes on the target and identify exactly where the bullseye is, right? Otherwise, there's no way that you can get a bullseye. So the same goes when we practice. We need to first identify the state of the great perfection, come to understand exactly what it is we're talking about, what it is we're trying to realize, where we're trying to get back to. And in order to do this, then we're given this presentation of the 3 kayas, likewise view, meditation, conduct, and so on. All of these are means to help us identify the target that our practice should be aiming at. To sum up, the first 3 verses that we've already covered are a presentation of the ground, the basic state. What will follow in the coming verses concerns how we can and should practice to manifest and realize that ground. There's a quotation in the Tantras that uses analogies to illustrate naturally present Rigpa, the natural state. It says Rigpa is empty and pervasive, just like space. Like we can think of all of the universes and galaxies that scientists have identified and so on. No matter how vast and distant and limitless they might be, space pervades all of them, right? So likewise, Rigpa is empty and all pervasive. It pervades all beings without exception. It pervades the whole of samsara, the whole of nirvana, all possible things. But how does it do that? Well, it does it. Well, it does not pervade beings, pervade phenomena as something existent or something with substantial existence, but rather it is utterly empty and unconditioned, just like empty space. Rigpa, the quotation from in the Tantra continues, Rigpa is totally unobscured, just like a pure crystal. So a pure crystal is utterly transparent and unobscured. You can see straight through it. Likewise, Rigpa is primordially pure. It's utterly untouched and unaffected by stains, confusion, obscurations at the level of the ground. It's the Tantra states, Rigpa is changeless. It is permanent, just like a Vajra. Vajra is said to have 7 qualities, like being immutable, invincible, and so on. These details are found in the Uttara Tantra and the Guyagaba Tantra, amongst other scriptures. When it's said here that Rigpa is permanent and changeless, we're not, of course, talking about ordinary consciousness. We would be crazy to say that consciousness is permanent and unchanging. We're talking about the essence of Rigpa, of naturally present Rigpa. The Tantra continues, Rigpa is the source of all desires, just like a wish-fulfilling jewel. Probably most of you are familiar with this account, stories of a wish-fulfilling jewel that is said to have existed in the past. It would grant all boons if you supplicated it. Maybe the modern equivalent is money. I don't know. The point is, this is an example to point out the fact that Rigpa is the source of the fulfillment of all of our wishes and desires. If we pray to Rigpa, if we supplicate Rigpa, meaning if we train in the view, meditation, and conduct that align with Rigpa, then all of our wishes will be fulfilled. The quotation continues, Rigpa is clear and unobstructed like the sun and moon. So it's shining and unobstructed like the sun and moon, meaning that it illuminates everything. It obliterates all darkness. Essentially, this is saying that enlightened wisdom sees everything. There is nothing that it doesn't know. And when we say this, when we describe Rigpa in these ways, we're talking about the awakened state that is actually identical with our own basic nature, our own basic Rigpa, which we can come to realize and to manifest. So these were some analogies to illustrate the qualities of Rigpa. It's important we understand that they're just analogies. We're not saying Rigpa is like the sun or like the sky. These are just illustrations. So with this and the first 3 verses that we've summarized, we've discussed the ground. And like I said, what follows will concern the meditation, how to practice. We'll stop for a break now, and then we'll continue when we come back. Please dedicate the merit.
Yeah, that's somebody took the December shoes.
Please rouse the motivation of bodhicitta.
Indicang takirang de loma manche ripage nitne loma tataredu tene maimba choine pe chöla nyamlen chikota redu ngarang dena tadu gangla keso tos goyu ke nam kitajitu te indicang tos goyu nam kirti kanasena chöl tos jangba chekyo kechare ma to di jangba tan che ma nyu chiki di ji shi go korom chogo ma ngarang boba ina go chogo ma senda da inji de kawa kabara indicang kirang su tam tos chi dila interest na do page ni tadu gang chi korang chi chi ha go ti yago shitare It gets a lap go you mark the Dana, the ying goni lap, your samba jachewa, chanju simbi colons, a simjan tamchik to the Sanki Kobon Pujitabla Chow, Nebi Goni, Chiku Samba Chanju Colontan, the Netap Jachewa Ribazu Polos, the Shurdan, Nedan, the Sajasoina, Tapishingam, Penasanto Palgiri with the Chuin, and then Zopachimbo Chut in by the Tiri. Duyang Pusum Soba, Katanya Baniki do, the Korean Pusum Sakanzo, Tamji Yang, Jemang Issues and Alasovatan, Chanchu Samba Sambatan Sama Yabasam Gomputan, Lama Ngadi, I think other can carry the Inayang, Chushi Kaptila, Lama Yang, the Nichi in Gurumbuchetan, the Sangita Chanchu Simbiki, Ranshin to Tawa, nothing like a shirt that not the Yang with Chakari. The things that Talents of mine, but jelly in a cannot go into God, Titia, Marcosuina. Not get you in education at the Kurung go. The tagging issue also do the can but in the two get on us.
So, in addition, we also need to rouse the vast outlook of the Vajrayana, meaning the acknowledgement that all phenomena are primordially the nature of the five perfections. I actually, because we're looking at a Vajrayana, not just a Vajrayana text, but great perfection Dzogchen text, I need to mention this, and I forgot to mention this aspect of the motivation when we began. So please, in addition to the motivation of bodhicitta, please also bring to mind the vast outlook of the vast outlook that is the skillful means of the five primordial perfections of place, time, teacher, teaching, and retinue. Most of you here are Rigpa students, and that means that you are experienced and knowledgeable practitioners. Certainly when I look around the room during the teaching session, I get the sense that a lot of you, or most of you, are kind of understanding the subject matter and also very interested. If you didn't have an understanding, then probably you wouldn't be listening so keenly. So this shows that you're already familiar with these teachings and the subject matter. So you're probably already familiar with the five perfections and this outlook. So in a sense, there's no need for me to mention it, but still, please rouse the motivation of bodhicitta, which is the thought, I will establish all mother sentient beings who are limitless in number at the level of perfect, complete enlightenment. And in order to do that, I will listen to this profound teaching. At the same time, please rouse the vast outlook of Vajrayana, which is bringing to mind the fact that all phenomena are primordially, from the very beginning, the nature of the five perfections. In terms of the place, to do this, we can visualize the place as a pure realm such as Zangdok-Pari. The perfect teaching, well, this is a teaching of the great perfection, no need to say any more. The time is the primordially pure time of equality. The retinue, you should visualize yourself and your fellow Dharma students as, for instance, the 25 heart disciples of Guru Rinpoche as pure beings, male and female bodhisattvas. And the teacher, although I'm not a great teacher, while I'm giving this teaching, it's helpful to visualize me as a Buddha such as Guru Rinpoche, an enlightened being. When we embrace this outlook of the five primordial perfections, there is, it's beneficial. It's an important point. So it's good to mention these as a reminder, and also good introduction. Good to mention it as an introduction for anyone who's not familiar with these already.
Yeah, then attacking also she nelu de shepare, she ki nelu de par dodoshina, oh, yeah, tini tongba, ranshin sarwa, tuji kunchap, sumshed, ting de yeni, the number tawa. Yeah, tini ngaranzo semjen tamji ki jula, yueba. Tatanda partung around Tamchilla, Semjan Tamchilla, Tumo Maimba. Oh, Yatine Tamchilla, you paint to Kanachi, Nelu Tishene. Tati she Nelu the condition on the one to Kurquaris. Tam, the Yegi in it, Tandima all a shiri. Semjing is Naranzo Sanki, you're not Sanki condition on the Penang Aranzo and the side or Nala, petrol dojo again, gas dojo again, Tisultungo. This will not in a guest dog lapshana guest phantom or guest don't you with Tabshin, that missing the way in a carriage on the Altambotini, Altan with Tabshin. Tetiana, Zangma Mogoso, Servata, Arab Jalko to the Numtas of the Lakamushu, do a Johnson, or Petina Shinjigi, Ranjungri, but another year, they want to Kurko, they want to get Taktila, then it Tawa, Gomba, Japa, Divos New York, Tindicala. Tatambo, the Tagishi, Neluting on the Sheraton, Tambo Tawa, the Shigres.
So we've already covered the ground. We've been through an explanation of the ground, the basic state of things, the natural state. This was explained in terms of the empty essence, the luminous nature, and the unobstructed capacity. All these are all aspects of naturally present Rigpa. They are primordially present and all pervasive. They are this is the basic nature of awareness, and this goes for all sentient beings. So we've covered the ground. This is how things really are fundamentally. How then to actually manifest this basic reality, how to make it, how to bring it into actuality. We can say all sentient beings are Buddhas, but how to bring that natural Buddhahood to light, how to reveal that fact. It's like you can say there's gas underground, but if you want to extract the gas, you need to actually do something, right? Like drill down into the ground. There's a lot of other work that comes along with gas, right? Like cleaning up all of the oil spills in the ocean. But anyway, the point is, we are now going to move through an explanation of the means and methods for manifesting our basic state. This is the view, the meditation, and the conduct. So from among these, we begin with the view.
Ransing number taba. No, yeah, any Rigpa Koronga ngola kusum sound deva. That the condition want to chigo is a puncture. That want to chidam manguere, then you can't think want to chidan the country as a rangi, the Mishila Punjun Nemindu, Cancer Chugutala Sangan Neminda. That this shepherd sanging was to be. Guyang loading Lama New winning as you want to love it. That the Rigpa got to be catcher, what to be catcher, and what to be catcher. Rangi demi shela ponju ni mindu sata shi ne sulsi ta ye ngo tong ba rasin sang ne suldi ta gi ne pe ngai go ne shemba o ya tene ngo go ne tene kra kra kun la chaba ta ta ye sheba na sing ge tene kansa sana tong la chaba tene nam khata wo da tima me shel ta wo da sa te pe te ngai sheba na sing ge ye ne rasin duma chi ge ngo ri pa khorang yo de ge nga zo ti yeah, Rangi Dumi, Shila Punjur Nimindu, Sata Yagi Konela, Tila Punjur Tawani Yomare, Kanshara Chugutala Sanganimitas, that Rigpa Corona Punjurtan Yomare, that Tila Yantini Salgi Goni, Pana, Jansu Corona, the Mayor, Nanti Pizan, Gurgu Marta, she left the getting Jansu Tuku, Jansu Jansu, Tiringa Showa Jansu drawing there. Jansu Balap check the Balap, issues with young Pala lots of that Tito, around so Rigpa Korango, the Jansu Nasi, Yeni, yo Jansu kill a Taran, Gulgam, Maris, Jansu thinking the best shoot him dead. But Tina Shinji get any Jansu Kai, Lapti Mongoya and Royor. Some Karango, the Sangi Rete, Yinaya, till a Salna so shani. Tattle pay Mongo shake your, the Tini, tea, salt the Naso Shergore. Saldi Kazuchi bulb shampoo jabni peg rito with bulb Jilebna and Tartu Mal Shitu the Anshunan Corona Tim Dujumatoki, Kage Yomar. When a Kazichi bulb Chijum condition, Petere. Titi in Ducala, Rigpa Koronga City Punju Mapa, Tene Res, Tene Kanser Chukutala Sanganimata, only Jansu love Nashinchigi, Rigpa Tebi number top share on the Kama to talk about the Yangal Devare, Sangire, Shinkamre, Pemigate Nekorpara, Yishiri, Tapashana, Matabashana, Mataba comes from Korvanyalwaita, Turulas of Batin, Dosashetan, Rajal Chadolas, Topang Nebashana, Sangushananda, Nebashananda, Kanshar Chugutala Sanganemida, Sati Sangayoma, Chugu Kurungi Latina, Sambo the Yabachi Yomares. Tati into Kalam, Tati Sabushi or Tati Karo the Shiva, Tandang around the Dosingi Tekba Nalashina, Gawa to get Dipa Panja, Tene, Pandrogile, Koran, getting Yoba, Tene, Tamjek shoot in it, later leg in a Bashar and Oba Josotan, or Yatizun Pemiki Jachin Possession, Tensutamje, Mahimba the Marite in Ayanta, Gomba Tumbuki the Share, the Kanat and the Shigure. In the Kanta, Taroya Tigit Lion Aranso, that the Gongazo. The Evam Nalashe, Tekbarimba Nafsha Shine. Then the one Carnivan Odian Nalaya, Zosing in the that is the no perfect interest to Tamjek as a Hako Gobare. In Ducala, taking over condition by Inayang, 지금 람기 빵타도 게림 조그림이 쓰긴 저 탐지야 조우들 rigpa ngô chodang ka tabshiri sang giyu ki tabshiri tin dio kang la ta tenso tamji solji ke lamre solwa ta besul da chi lamre ta ngoni ke lam tamji ke tar tu ba de solwa me ke lam ta shwe yin sa o ya kunji gyalu na kang so na gone gondo changbe lam chatal lam dan tu mai chi de lam la de na nam ki sha tu ba me la ngarang so ro ni ji tu gi ji yo ban ju tene titu yo marla lamne dön dogi chik le dojo khaya pen ngazo dene ma zamulin gaza australia jene singapore le singapore phaglo yang kora jagare gogore ko kora jag phagbar do namka la ta thasawa ni yo mar chöd bi dojo ma son che o namka segendi dosa yo mare asale pan tingimu ko distance level ma do ke ko son ni chik namka ji tha chegin lam 로 yapsan mugu sondna keti namka ki thadi chege mare sashi ki thadi chege mare ti indu kala lamina yang kerim gom zorim gom shu pangja re la nyembo re re tene docha ge nyembo tene karapara ngarang zaina mitu te shedang ge nyembo tene kar chamba tene chado ge nyembo tene tanan tene chi timu ge nyembo tene la so bata ngarang tab mangwi sung che tenso 참제 re re tene na nyomong ba ge ta segyo mare nyomong ba ta ma se de nyembo ge ta sege mare nyembo ge ta ma se de tene katu ina yang ti tene pang thup chu ti jungu mar phagbar bang dang khatsa lawi dang sang di modern ki tene kar par tu ju ndi tola pe me gi sarva sarva mangbo matem ba mangbo chi da ina chi se ya cancer utre do tene kan se ai ne chi se AI na chi se artificial intelligence in dam de le on dam de do ta dang sang dam de se ki do ti ti nam to sarva sarva ke gi ba lega sarva sarva so gi ba 뒤에서 내가 다 딘도 탐지라 년보리에 된 거잖아. 다른 상기 좀 된 데가 무슨 뭔고지 류되기라고 착그래. 딘도 가다 강을서 반셔 최 탐지기 일부러 하신데 시에서나 남가데 왔다 남가 딜을 하고 로사 오 말해서 하고서나 남가 타데 팀이 뭐 줘버려. 람대한 룻 메비기 람지 하고서나 티 람기 타데 줘버려. 람데 룻 메비기 람데 가을 하고서 줘버치고 람데 하고. 티마도기 게르미나 천제 게림 쳔메 게림레나 게림나 바시 조르밀나 ten senje chme ge zorim mangbo tene tumo wasal jing milam se mangbo ji nang she kyor tzu tamche re lampe me ge mangbo re ta ina ta lam tamche ne nyursho to sho de kan re se ne zoba chim lam dere til ham ti chol me ge lam se gor cholwa de me be lam tin ju kan la tan dru kan she wor se na kan she chu gu tsala sangen ne me da ta zoba chim bu ge biu ni ta de kan la pen ringo zemo le so ba je lungo tamche o thon de 딘도 간 롱보 온데는 야한테 촉직 통고 말해. 탐지 통고 말. 딘도 간 조바 침피 기타와 걸 따오니 갑소 말 쫄바탄 시비 람탐 제디 데네타 딜라 상해데 여기래. 쫄바나 야가다 두고다 여기래. 이나야 람탐제디 마주바다 람탐제디 터투그 람 마인발라 니 에게 또도. 딘도 간라 다 람상보인데 강시를 추구 달라 상해냅니다. 다 딜 조바 침피 따위 건지 따온데 간라 다 상보이나 상도이나 똑바랑래 야 냥도이나 다 똑바 yin 바 디 똑바라 상강 따티니 공기 따위군 다운도 강라 예니 샘진 탐지거라 대거시 피닝 거랑 중그리고 조디비 인생기 다운도 강 다운다나야다 직바레도 스페낭가라 취 발랍나신 간테지 쳔불랍난다 잠불랍난다 미츠불랍난다 탐지 발랍임바 직바레 취 발랍임바 직바레 베티나신 상도도 녀도 탐지 똑바임바 단다레스 다티 셰파 상기 무슨 돈 두베스 다 하고나 하마고나 상기 살 현다 살 거래 추굴라마 롱굴라마 툴굴라마 살 거래 오니 하고서나 셰파 코랑 단단 가랑서 리릭시 티코랑 상기레스 다til 살 셰버어 오야 단단 가랑서 시시리 담티 상기레스 다티 셰파 상기 무슨 두베 고양로 딜라마 닝웨니 예정서 그 양부시네 벤즘바 마슈고 거네 딜라 셴바 마슈고 거네 그 양보 로데오 게인도 강한데 라마스 슈굴라마들 거래 슈구다 룽굴라마 툴굴라마 거래 이네 닝위네 예종 내갑다 디테일다 담긴디 온 말테 와자기
디 구양 로데 라마디 쿠숨기라마
구양 보스데 깔리메부터 디스르바 구양 로데오스데 따랑 탁셔봤어 로데오스는 탁셔버라 디인도 강라 릭바디 간디시 하고서 다티셔바 상경 무슨도 디디 릭바디 상기 임바 하고네 ram밥수 르네 샤운도 강라 디니 도스니 택반 나시 강갈 시우 잠먹어 Tini sa kerim da zuhrim na shi mikpa ga chunni tinga hlayin nga chigin tini sa lung tigli la sokpa tini chima kwa rikpa khurang ngo shi ngani mar shaung du kang la tini tuangi lama de tini nga nye chung ngos la ati nye tang nga jel la ki.
So we now come to the next verse. Sorry, I already said that. We're looking at the next verse. The previous verses that we've already been through established for us that, described rather, the primordially pure nature, naturally present awareness, in which all the three kayas are present, Dhammakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nimanakaya. Okay, so that is how things are. But then we have the question, well, how to manifest that? How to actually actualize that for ourselves? Well, there are many methods, so many different methods that go about that help us do that. But from amongst all of them, we have the preeminent method, the eminent method of the great perfection. So the first line of this verse reads, "The primordial ground of self-awareness is unmoving and unchanging." This whole verse is introducing us, it's introducing Rigpa and also describing the recognition of Rigpa and the natural state. So the primordial ground of self-awareness. The primordial ground was introduced earlier, and I quoted from the Tantra, a verse from the Tantras that described Rigpa in terms of its 5 qualities of being all-pervasive like space and so on. That described for us how Rigpa is primordially unconditioned, it's unchanging and so on. This ground of self-awareness is unmoving and changing. Whatever arises as the play of Dhammakaya is neither good nor bad. So in essence, Rigpa is unmoving and unchanging, and yet it arises as the play of Dhammakaya. The essence of Rigpa, of Dhammakaya, is unchanging, but Dhammakaya, or Rigpa, also has sal, or a dynamic potential. We could also say display. And this arises in manifold ways which are neither good nor bad. They're simply display, neither good nor bad. It's a bit like the ocean. That's a good example. The ocean itself, like in the depths of the ocean, it's said that there's no movement at all. And on the surface of the ocean, waves appear, they rise up from the ocean, but then they dissolve back into the ocean. No matter how big, no matter how small, the waves can rise up on the surface, but they dissolve back into the ocean. So the play of Dhammakaya, or this potential, this dynamic potential, is just like this. Thoughts can arise, conceptual thoughts can arise. They might be positive thoughts, like thoughts of a nirvana, pure realm, liberation, primordial wisdom. They also might be, we could say, impure thoughts of the 3 poisons, the lower or experiences of the lower realms, like the hell realms and hungry ghost realms and so on. But no matter what the nature or content of the concepts are, in the basic state of things, the ground of the Dhammakaya, there is no distinction between these concepts. They are nothing more than the play of Dhammakaya. This is a very profound point. And at the level of the vehicle of characteristics, then we are taught that there are certain things that should be abandoned, certain things that should be adopted. Distinctions are made. This is the approach that we find in teachings such as the Abhidhamma, the Treasury of Abhidhamma, and to mention one scripture. Those are all relevant and pertinent in some context, that approach. But here in the level of the great perfection, we do not buy into those distinctions. Those distinctions do not hold. Recently, when I was presenting the 9 yanas at Ivam Institute, and just last week, or earlier this week, when I was teaching some Dzogchen instructions up at Odhyana, I touched on these points. So I covered these points. So many of you, I can see, were present during those teachings, so you will have heard me already speak about these points. As I've said, there are so many different methods, skillful means for manifesting our basic nature. For instance, all of the very effortful practices taught at the level of sutra, and also the tantric practices of generation and completion stage. All of these involve effort, however, and also contrivance. From the level of the great perfection, we understand that the ultimate path is a path without effort, without contrivance. That is the path that we need to realize the state of the great perfection. Because all effortful paths, they have no end, essentially. If you take an approach where you apply a remedy to, where you have the notion that there's something to be abandoned and a remedy, so something to be antidoted and an antidote that needs to be applied, like as we find in the vehicle of characteristics, where it's taught that if you have anger, you should remedy that with compassion. If you have attachment, you should remedy that with meditation on ugliness, and so on and so forth. If we take that approach, if we really think about it, there is going to be no end, because there's no end to thoughts, and therefore this process of remedying them one by one is just going to be endless. To paraphrase a quotation that Rinpoche shared, it's a bit like someone traveling through space. If you travel through space trying to get to a certain destination, you're never going to get there, because there is no end to space. If though you understand that space is limitless, space is endless, and just by understanding that, you've already reached the destination in a way. So by understanding that there is nowhere to get to, in a sense, you've arrived. These days also, there are many new phenomena like artificial intelligence and so on. All of these are generating new thoughts and concepts, new states within our experience. So if we take the approach of antidote and something to be antidoted and something to antidote, then we could even end up thinking that, Buddha's teaching doesn't contain all the necessary antidotes, because he didn't give us antidotes for, difficulties with AI, for instance. So in short, we need to take the effort-free path, the path of the great perfection. As it says, whatever arises as the play of Dhammakaya is neither good nor bad. This is understood from the view of the great perfection, which is like arriving at the peak of the highest mountain in the world. From there, you can see everything without obstruction. The other approaches, lower approaches, are like being on a hill or something where you have a view, but it's a limited view. Those approaches are not the ultimate path. To repeat, all thoughts, whether good or bad, are just thoughts. They're nothing more than the play of Dhammakaya, a bit like waves. They can be big, they can be small, but at the end, they just dissolve back into the ocean where there is no movement. Since this present awareness is the actual Buddha, so our present awareness we're talking about is the actual Buddha right here and right now. Since that is the case, then I find the guru of openness and contentment within my own heart. So openness, spaciousness, and contentment, a deep sense of ease. By resting naturally, without effort, without contrivance, without all the kind of force that is without any of the force that is involved in the other approaches, like the approaches of sutra, and also the approaches of deity, yoga, and so on. Just resting naturally, without contrivance, we can come to meet the ultimate guru within our own hearts. How we meet this ultimate guru, I will explain shortly. That's right.
Talama de Nyechunsa, Kuyang de Lama New and Yes, Talama de Yatanka, Nitilachi, Dunging in New Show something. Wama Amagemujas, Amagemuja, mix you Tongo, Mare, low Gemope, Dujutana, low Dujutana, and live taking Amagemuche. Then Chilo Golashu, Saldigus, chick sal, chicken. That miso to the yard to the Amadi chick chala saldigus. Now, Ma do the Kamaya chalasal. Then you miss some Samujo say. Could take shop a yard do the Kama, Amadi Tizi got up the shoe, the sun dating to Halilesia, Ma long to Kama, young neat. In the Amadilaji problem to show you test something, then more Amadil serious. Then courageous a shop and could take Chilona shoe, the Halilesia is salting to courageous on. Not better than the cup the last ones. A couple of lovers, the Chambuji some good, the cup the lamb, the petty salad. You quite are the quarter of one is just to start in the mode, Gemure, make the cup the men and pen make it. Angarima get a damsanta cup go in the lamsa missing dancer rosette. That in the Indian Unigi, Kale, and other times you talk to me, Marto, Chig, Salo, Chig, Sal, Manias. Then Tina music to all the changers. Martha Amajo, such a ring put the hotel son of Kavani, the cup chung the Nejman, your money. Decide the area Tamjal son and take a salt as your money. My Amajo cut the Kawalas on stairs. Last at another last one, there's a common last one. Cookba Churon Cookba, Cookba, it last at in a Kawan now, tell you now, Talgoma, Chilo Council Gure. Chilola Nagungre, Chilola the Ganse, Karu the Nana Nagungre, the Salvitam Chilo Salgorotini, Karu Nansalgoma, Nagunan Kawani relax. Miti ko pa lasa naguna na nagurang sal ko mato karu nang sal yu ka ere ku pa shede sa te amader ka ji shu tang este amader la so ngait ni la gyu de tere ton da ku ha ko so ma so la gyu de rang nang gi sem di ngo de la de dus sal gyu de tham je chi la su de wo tu da ni bo tu tri bo tu gyu go tu ming go tu top go tu nyen da go nga so chlo gyu go yore chu bu tham je ti gyu go re tang bu tham je ti gyu go re ze wo tham je ge ti gyu go re tham je chi la ta dan de 알아가서 유구도 와 나중 알아서 난 라더 딱교 딱다 하고도 낭삼이 니 나랑 난 여기지 난지로 봤지 니 하고도 니 계속 탐지를 던지고 돈다 했는데 그것도 탐지 할래 원이 템버리 라주도 나 라네 살기도 실라서는 얘기 말아 디인도 강라 아마 게무도 세게네 아마 가면 그런 하고 되다 코 밀어 취지 된 거야 취 땡기더라 코 계속 쉬는 거 하고 말아 대 아마 되게 뱉는데 약고시 셔 테스트 세번 나신지기 알아서 탐지야 라주 셰파들 라도 랑 리파들 라도 리파들 라와 녀버 셔와라 실로 살기요 마다 오니게 지 규다 민다 답다 녀다 고네 리파다 가와가 얘기 말대 게림다 조림다 시오지 곰네 지 빼자 망보때 로 망보게 게시 땅지 룽룽이 캠보 로pen 망보 세나야 랑주 리파데 톱지 빼깔 가버려 빼나 알아 실로 살게 나시래 갑데 나라 실로 살게 나시 니깔리 가버려 딘디가라 살사데 가와 예 가와라가 있나 대랑 살고요 딘디가 디 살기디 오니기 코라페 리파 여기다 연대 비케서리 간주 락사데 가와라 되어서는 셈기 ngo라 되어 셈기 ngo데 간사 셈기 톨어요 마도 사실 신나가 요 말에 남자 직 빼샤 토나 지르면 유튜브 나르면 지 도도도네 꾸르우스 텔토바투네 질랍 중에서 다 텐서 직 탑시도 제 마도 꾸 도도 토바투나 도고 말에 지 직들이 도제세게 직배 나라서 추굴라마 롱굴라마 지 칠로탄 소왔다 되기는 모니게 질랍 모니게 도고 말레 질랍도 도고 말 제단게다 지 투몽고 고도치다 톱시그러와 딘디오 카나 살규디 살 토르사디 락사디 가랑조 셈기티네 셈 락디요레 살사티야 셈기모 살고르마토기 샹다갈 때나 저와인 토고 말 딘디 디페데 페미기 주로도 땡가랑조 셈디 라인데 셈기티모 살고요 딘디 디디티네 캐나바 하고아치스.
So there's a very nice story that I want to share with you to illustrate this point. The fourth line here says, I find the guru of openness and contentment within my heart. So the ultimate guru of openness and contentment is found within our own hearts, within ourselves. The story goes that there was an old lady, she was in her 70s and her sight was very poor. In the morning, she was searching outside really intensely for something. And as people were walking past her house, they just observed her looking for something. Then one of the same people walked back past her house and later in the day, and she was still outside searching. And this person had a good heart. So we thought, wow, she must have really lost something important. He went over and said, I know, Amma, you've been searching all day. What's going on? What have you lost? And she says, I've lost a needle and I need to sew something. And, I just can't find the needle. These days, a needle is not so important, but in the past, you didn't have sewing machines and stuff. And a needle was actually of some consequence, right? The person thought, oh, dear, I should help. So he tries to help. He joins her in her search. And maybe some other people do as well, but they can't find the needle anywhere. Then so another person comes and joins the search, and then another person, and ends up there's a whole group of people helping this mother trying to find her needle outside her house. Then someone joins the search, and this guy seems to be cleverer than the others, and he says, well, he asks what's going on. He's told, oh, she's lost her needle. And he says, but we're looking in such a big area. How are we going to find a needle in this huge area? Outside, this is a large area. And he approaches the mother and he says, where did you lose the needle? Like, where do you remember having it? And she said, I lost it inside. And he says, what do you mean you lost it inside? If you lost it inside, why are you searching outside? And she said, well, inside it's dark and I can't see, but outside I can see. That's why I'm searching outside. And when the guy heard this, then he was, I mean, that is no reason to be searching for something inside, outside, right? It's, yeah, not sensible. So he scolded the lady and told her this is not an okay approach. We've lost track of our own mind, the nature of our own mind, but in our attempt to find it again, we are looking outside. We look outside of our mind, typically at the 5 sense pleasures, pleasant form and sound and touch and so on. So we're searching outside for something that is not there. What we've lost is inside, but we search in completely the wrong place, trying to get it back. Anyway, so the story goes that this smart guy was also a practitioner and then explained this vital point as well. And the lady and the others recognized the truth of this statement. It pertains to us too, though, right? We've lost the nature of our minds. If we want to rediscover it, refind it, we need to look inside. We need to look exactly where we've lost it for what we've lost. Forget about searching in like worldly or mundane occupations. Even if you take the approach of, say, intensive study of the Buddhist scriptures, going to a seminary and reaching the level of a Kempo or Geshe or what have you, even if you spend many years in intensive practice of even the tantric approaches of generation and completion stage, those approaches are not going to lead you to they're not going to lead you back to naturally present Rigpa, to the state of your own mind. You need to look for what you've lost, the nature of your mind, exactly there in your own mind. There's no other way to find it. We can look outwardly to material things. We can look outwardly to blessings, like trying to receive blessings from sacred statues, and so on and so forth, or praying to, an external guru like Jigdal Yeshe Doje. It's possible we can receive some blessings and some benefit from that, but we're not going to rediscover the nature of our minds, what we really need. Yes.
Tindu kala ta derga lurgi tarong mangbu danchi dame de mangbu sheki de teze shiyo ma ta yobo masan dipura sargura dema tarong dema ni se do o ta dema chila to tindu kala ta ngoni ge Rigpa de khande chal gura Rigpa tel chal tang mangbu jore te ina ya ta le lau de she ya na ya khinso tham ya leji shadra da pe ki le lau re de ka ko shiyo go ma ina ya ta khoram de ngone de le lau re te 레라우시는 가 정말 시기 줘야래 이나양 나랑서 잠금 미파는 보지 지송도서 저것이 따와들 깔리니여레스 직전에 레라잖아 레라데치는 미기til 도난치마 네가 프리레즈라고라가 지그티 시우지 지지마 야니 미기 저것심부터 굿당 맹아당 같은 망부지네 티네 그렇다 굿기티네 자침보시에 셰파던 트레 망부지에샤나니 까비 돈 마도스 라비 이마시스 레라 좀 이치기만 근데 레라 왔다 인기 말 나라 퀄리티 가게 매봐 나 단다 상게 가래 그랬더니 나 진짜 삼주기 내가 야 뒤트는 맨날 규당 윤출 상황인 골라서 뭐 택소운 줄라서 봐 된나 신지기 당아랑 저거 친구기 규트는 삼게 미쳐 먹고 붐자 죽주 섭실라다 붐자 죽주 섭실 빠르자 보디 닝마 김범 보디 죽주 잡드네 잡게 보디 신부 디가 진짜 탐지는 저거 친구 간에 셰셰요 진짜 탐졌다 투부게 말에 루투부게 말에 시 투부게 말에 tindu kavi don malos lavi gi imache spelle la ola mache kyuri pa diri salam santur pa zugu zugni quantity chene zugu zugu de kan tinda ta khai ne tinda ta le la ji yin mare ngala quality ka mewa yin mare se yi che mare tindu kan sansam tikni la tuni ngaram mi tham je de tine je zoba chim ngo mi shi de tudu le la wa da imache tudu kale kha ta ngo ma che uni shege ina ta umma dan cherchen dan farchen dan samma dan 윤출다 차장지 시에네 되네 다 저것이 뭐 시에 고지 딕시어 가시던 아주 지당나 로치 니자랑 질로 좀 지나 갈까 버려 tindu kavi don matos lawi yi ma che sigin tila tini ge sanzam te ngara samje la de res.
There are so many other stories I could tell to kind of illustrate the same point, but we just don't have time. So we'll have to leave the other stories. What we're talking about though is how do we search for Rigpa? How do we go about searching for Rigpa? Well, there are many ways, but from among them, there is a very easy, straightforward way. At the same time, if I say that and then there's then some of you might just become very lazy and very casual, thinking, well, it's so easy. This really is the case, right? As Mipa Rinpoche said, there are two reasons why it is so difficult for us to realize the great perfection. One is that it is just too easy. It's like, it's just too easy. And the guru can point out Rigpa to you, point out the natural state, but it seems so straightforward and easy that it's just like it's too good to be true, so we don't trust it, we don't believe it. It's a bit like if you have free stuff, you don't value it, right? So that's the first reason. It's so easy that we cannot trust it. We struggle to trust it. Second reason is that it's so difficult, we struggle to realize it. For instance, look at the scriptures that teach the great perfection. For instance, the 100 volumes of the 60 volumes of the Nyingma Tantras, collection of Nyingma Tantras. All of them are concerned, all of them teach the great perfection. They're just basically 60 volumes of teachings on the great perfection. But it's so profound that even if we found the time and the energy and had the capacity to study them and receive teachings on them, then it's just so difficult to really understand them. So these two reasons, so easy that we struggle to believe, so difficult that we struggle to realize and to understand. That's right.
Tindu kangla ta kali kapu chine ngalang so jangkyu de ta kenzol tuzo yo ma da pe tinde lobjong jachimbo shiu jang tinde chigyu tuzo de yo ma re tindu kangla ta le la wo chine shepa ina ya tian tine kali kapu shire kelang so yi che ge ma re tindu kangla ta ngalang so ge tine tab desho til kang de se panjo tine tangbu ni shwe chi go re se na Rigpa ngo chabar chewala lama khebar chen chi go re lama khorong la tokwa yo de gen chi lama khorong zokwa chimbo la tini ki kewa yinba tang tokwa yo ba khabar tuyang zokwa chimbo ku nyongo tawa to de gen chi tang lama tuyang peme ki tepa ya ko chi yo de gen chi zomba yinna zokwa chimbo de peme ki le thawo re do ta nga lorgyu mangu she yo de ta ti lorgyu de nga zo kena ngi tep lo yo kire ngi the great of sacred mind se tin na ngi tisha yo kena te ta da Rigpa khandi chi ngo to do lorgyu tin na yak tha ji tisha cha sang da titu ma song da yak tha ji tisha oya tin du kala tang rang so ge tene lama tokwa thumbo chi tang rang la tepa tang yakbu yogi chi ni tin zomba yin panchu tini ngarang so Rigpa tingo chup tu go re tin du kala ta tanda ngarang so zoba chimbo ge che na la ngondro sing tin na lami nan jor sing le pe cha chimbo re se ngado mo la go re lami nan jor de khang re sana lama dub ju te lama dub ge te bazar guru tang ju te guru rimbo che solam mala ta bazar guru mangbo tang tini bazar guru yakbo tang rang ge lama te sangi ngorta tinjine tene yagostante parka jine ngone lama de ngone sangi rendwa samgi tepa doji rangi kyutuji ke lama la tik sangi gi dushi to ji wal shergi yo na titi ka lami gi ngoji tepa ina tene ngone o ta re du sene tene ngazo ngochu tu gor ma to tinje maim be ji ngana shi lama ji khenzo na shi lama ji dangong rang go shi te ji ta ngi labda laba chega cherate te khenzo tabje tigi je sem oh tinje ji re feeling de on kali ka bar then kashi le chen kashi yo gi gan dor ji zoba chen bola nyamne je de gen do ta kotro yo de gen so yang ni di lamna oh ku lam gen tiri do alam ya to ha ko gen do kashi yo na mi shi ta tinga ha ko ko mare ni kansa le mi tur ma do ge chi chi ge me ge sarwa mi ji lam sang go tu kali ka ko shi dare yene ngoma shiri se gyo mere ngema total to ngem inter buddhism yalu inter buddhiso tene ngane ge sanga ga ton ngora ba to ba tan tro tu nyem du chung ge na chung yung wa tena sin che ge ngara pyo kanjen jong la ya ngone ge tene kra para country hi so ja la so ba ta tena sin ge tene jambang hi chang na te total tu nyem du chung de ge lu ki mang bu yo la tena sin ga zo tu lama to ba yo mari lo mal te ba yo mari la kale ka wishita re. Hina yang Chana Tamjim Badr Guru Yapo Tang, Rangalama Suinanda. Lama second image Chitumbu go down, Top Chimbu go down, Tinder go mare, Rang Wang down, Lung down, Mengaki Lama Katinjing, Lama 10, Tila Solomlam Yavatap, then Lamin and Yapun, Lama Tesangi, Gomital, Lomangu Gomatum Nayatin, Tawa Kashire, Tawangare Ture, Badrukurum Bum Chusmir and Bum Tatunum Bum Jari. They Tinder Tani, Yakwajin, and Lama del Dushi Yakwajitana. Then you magic Lama taking Moji on the Kamani request how some water you in the Chagre. Then Moji turns a bunch of pen and cup on a Kubachu and Nashi. Around the Lapapa and darting and shake sitting and she. Then in darting and the captain Kuba, Kuba, the Shurom, Pekali, try, which Asian. Taxaco juice, not that other desert. That until Lagumar, Cap the Kuba, you cap the Lana Yan, Lamsania, or Talana Lana, or Kalana, Petina Hinchiki, Tintiston reporting what Trebaina. Then report the Lemaging what I savage to Kala. Then it pay Yabuji Shadow, Tala Gomnanda, Dananda, then it Karishana, then ripping on it down the rooms of a shadow. It in you can attack down show the Naranso Petashun Butagi Majuna, Lamala Sanji, that you get Tevas Gorilla. Till it ever chivich to name Gurumbuchi da Savilla, Yerme to Tene, Butter Kurukan, Maman Cheta, Lama get into Pakan, Maman Chicuti. That tip medication which teachers on the Rang Eugene de Sane, the Ripongo to kill the Pentores. And the girls 11 says, Dona Lama Sangi, Bishimaki, Pardon, Dongorvata, but Boom Chusum in and Boom Suru in and Boom Jai in and Takatsu, Mamma in Duni. Lama Sangi, when there is some Tavakis, that in Mangu Madonna,
yeah, so for these two reasons, we struggle to recognize the nature of mind. Most of you will not have the time to engage in really extensive, intensive study, right? Rinpoche said before that actually, really, like if we take really you need to study in detail all of the scriptures from bottom up. So like the Prajna Paramita, the middle way, and so on and so forth. All of that is actually necessary for the great perfection as well. But these days, to find someone who has the time to engage in the study and for them to find someone who's qualified to teach them is difficult. And to gain understandings through study is even more difficult. So that's one difficulty. But then, as I said, there is another option, being having the nature of mind pointed just out to you directly, like pointing to something with a finger. But then the difficulty we encounter is that it seems so easy, we struggle to believe that that's really it. We struggle to have confidence in the state, in the natural state, because it just seems too easy and too simple. In order to be introduced to the natural state, then there are certain things that we need. First of all, we need a guru who has genuine realization. They need to be learned, they need to be realized, and have actual personal experience in the great perfection. Then you need a student who has really sincere faith. If these two come together, it is possible for Rigpa, for the natural state to be pointed out, and for the student to recognize it. There are so many stories that illustrate the real possibility of this happening. We don't have time to share stories now, but I wrote a book called The Great Secret of the Mind. Some of you might have read it, and I included a lot of the stories, not that I know, not all, but some in that book. So you can read there if you want to read some real life stories that illustrate this possibility. Another possibility, so one possibility is a realized guru, a devoted student, the two coming together, then recognition can take place. Another possibility is training in Guru Yoga. Guru Yoga is a practice that can lead us to recognition. In the Vajrayana, we're taught that Guru Yoga is one of the most blessed, profound practices. For instance, we can practice Guru Yoga by chanting the Vajraguru mantra while visualizing Guru Rinpoche, understanding that Guru Rinpoche is in essence our root guru, supplicating wholeheartedly, really with the faith that, supplicating wholeheartedly. And when through practicing like this, we reach the point where we really have the faith and pure perception that can see and believe that our personal guru is the Buddha in person, in the flesh, then we can, through the power of that, it's possible to just arrive at a natural recognition of Rigpa. So it's difficult for that to happen in this sort of context. Most of us here, we don't have like an established relationship. Most of us are meeting just for the first time. I'm just sitting here explaining these things. Yes, they're very profound, but there isn't that kind of established relationship that will allow, sincere faith and connection. That said, you never know. You can never really say. Everyone has their own karma and their own capacity. It is possible that someone could just hear an explanation like this of the great perfection, and through their own karma gain recognition. There are stories of such people like King Indrabhuti in India. He gained what we call spontaneous realization and liberation. Likewise, from among the 25 disciples in Tibet, the Kini Yeshe Tsogyal and others gain the same kind of instantaneous realization and liberation. But generally speaking, it is extremely difficult and rare. So one method, a genuine method though is to practice Guru Yoga. So just like I said, chant the Vajraguru mantra, accumulate the Vajraguru mantra. This could mean accumulating like 1,300,000, 3,600,000, 10 million, or however many. When I asked Rinpoche to clarify like the numbers that he said, well, it does not depend on number. It's not like you chant this much and you're guaranteed recognition. You might just chant a few mantras and arrive at recognition. Basically, you need to practice Guru Yoga, which involves chanting the Vajraguru mantra until you arrive at recognition. That's the point. You need to visualize and supplicate your guru, follow your guru, meaning the guru from whom you receive empowerments, transmissions, and pith instructions. Supplicate them, perceiving them as the Buddha in the person. And by practicing like that, then one day you will just naturally arrive when faith and pure perception that sees your guru as the Buddha just dawns in your heart. Then in a very natural and kind of clear and easy way, you will just arrive in the natural state and recognize it for what it is. It's a bit like, to use an example, feeding a thread through the eye of a needle. Say you have a very shaky hand and a tiny eye of a needle, and you keep trying to thread the needle, but it just doesn't go. It's not going through. And then all of a sudden, the thread meets the right place and it goes through. And then you can pull the thread through and loop it around the needle. And in that way, even if you drop the needle later on, because the thread is attached, it's easy to find, right? Like even if you were to drop it on the ground. So once you've recognized the nature of mind properly, then it's easy to arrive back in that natural state to kind of, to go back there. Even if this is all to say that even if you can't study much and intensively, if you train in this way, then you can come to recognize the natural state in this way. The crucial point being that we need to view our guru. We need to be able to see our guru as the Buddha in person. Yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah. Ngaranzo de lama jamgu na de lama de sangi ngo de nangi de shugu lama de lungu lama de trugu ngo de lama la yago shigi tonda zawani ma yang ngumju ko logne ko ni ate lama de ngama ngazo ngari la tene ngi amni setar mbuchege kunza la mishalon sheres kongo sungres de kunza la mishalon sunata lama za shara lama de kam za yara lama de tena chilab jura ma ko jila de kunza la mishalon de lama de nal de man yisum yorwa te ti ama sung de ti lungba ga miso kansa Talu Sakta Rinpoche la tosu mbolo mambu gogo sare lama ta nyinga lama labdi dula se kisan konju misunderstand chena lama se kana ko khorang la chi top do da nyata ra chi go do samne tinda mare kan se panjo chilap kin june de lama re de re tin tu kana lama matin ba chilap juda chawa ni yo mar tin tu kana lama ten lama se ge ti rang tonda ra ma do lami tonda mare Rigpa ngot barche lama se gen ti ya Chi Tumbu Gol Degin, the Shamuchambu Gondegin Tamjilamato, Diachimare, Rangla Katin Suchedo, Wang Lung Chi, Manga Katin Suchedo, Rangi in a Lodi Chula Gurkin Sure, The Lama so to pay me cutting you. Pabrodoyan, Zobachimbo, what taking Lamati, the Lama the one negative Chugu Lama the Retur. The Tindicala, that date which Lama the Sanji, Gomna, Maransola. Benefits of the concert, Kevin was go, Rigpa the Yapuj motor to go. Tindicala, and the Longian Ramjum gave Dinala, Ninti Yapshi Nala, Council dos the Kala, Lama Latiniker Maransoina. Sukdin Chukji was it, Lama Gitinate, Sukdin Chukji was Sukdin Chukji when the council has at the Lama Tanang Jama, Lama Lama Tam, Tanang in the Nesungari. But Tinsu Tamji get on the Karsana, Tilami get on the Sungo, Maranzo Tonda, Maranzo Ripa country Chiniala, one to Kurgore, that Chok Yachambo Shusa, and make it in a Pecha Mangota, Tindraging out to go Martin, you can't one tap do Chini, Tiger Ripa was more to Chavala. Then Lama Sanguji like Chene, Delatine, Sanji into Shisha. Teach out the counter, reporting water, reporting water, Pancho. They come and take it up, Pemigi Yapuchet, comes from Corona, Chamgumari. Oh, yeah, they didn't take it in Yundin. They didn't do Kala, Maranzo Tamji, report water, Chevichetu, Lamatengo Yore, Lamatin Gubatian, on the Zawashim report water return to what take a Yore, Anticana Tengi Yore, Tindi. Tamji Atine, Lama de la Tambo Cotine, Tapa Shatan. Tine Lami got to down, around the Consul Tango Lama Talakeva, part of the Lama Tenlakeva, Sumba Gunsu Lavakeva. The Lama second the Tango Chitan, Loa took in Lamsan, Tomato Lamaza Chushu, Lamashi, Yalama de la Catan, Yauma, Ranyavado, Lama La Parche, Ranlayantine, Diongre, Dingala, Maras Tamji Gate, Tango de Lamachi, Chu Mashu Wala, Wang Mashu Wala. Lama de Taxi Yabuji, Lama de Taxi, Lama de Yaguyana, he got to attend Dama Shu, Rangi Tepaka, Josa de Samna, Josa Mindusan, Lama Kamada was Yanni Kali, Gapshukan, Paradro, then Lama Kali, Tejuman, then around the Maya, Tangu Lama Tent, in Lama, Gomba Truchana, then Yavashim Yongre, Howard and Zoba Chimbugi, Ribang Oak Chevala, Lama Lamatin because Zobashim water to so in over Mari, and then around the Kanahonda, ah, yeah, Dilatine concession, Jutsunala, this on the Juts, taking the long dating of Lord Rugue, and then after a document. Not that in a council to Sana, Shengi, Jumin, Lenjiki, Kando Yan, Miete, Lami to Tapatembatan, Rangis, Semi Leshicha, Rigpa to get Tabia, should the Kansana, Lami to get Tugamato, Timato, Gute, Kazu, Shun, Kazu, Shigu Yonaya. Taking around the bell in that photo Gomar. Then the Shengi Jubil Hinchiki is there. Hinchiki Sheti, Kanto Yan minute, the Skirl Salgi in a car and yet to Gomar. Yes, that in the Lama sing the Demba chick, let me to tap them, but Lama sing the Dembi to tap them, but Rang is the meeting. What took Lama at the trust around over, Penangazu Zugi, Pagila Dakar to Dakar Namkan, Dawa to Tangina. Then you Zugu the Tonkin Dawa to Tongo. Lama, what the Lami gets the dying whatever, don't rank report the motor. Then you can't watch over Chevala, Lama Tian would take care of it on the Abuj Gugure. What in rich in it in it, Tambo Titine, what it in rich over is Tini, Tang Motor than the Soya, taking a ticket.
So far, the prayer we're looking at has just talked about the Guru, the Dhammakaya Guru, Sambhogakaya Guru, Namanakaya Guru, and I've also been talking about the Guru, the importance of the Guru. It's possible to think when you hear all this talk about the Guru that it's a kind of self-promotion or something, that there's something going on. Like in the past, in Ngari, an area of Tibet, my grandfather, Seta Rinpoche, was teaching Words of My Perfect Teacher to some students. And when he was reached a certain part of the text, which talks about the importance of a guru and the kindness of a guru and the value and so on, then some of the students started to think, well, I think Seta Rinpoche is just looking like he's fishing for offerings. All of this talk about guru, guru, guru. That is not at all what is going on. After all, when we need to follow a guru for our own sake and the benefit that we reap, and we are the ones that reap a benefit from that relationship. As it's taught in the Vajrayana again and again, the source of all blessings is the Guru. Likewise, in the Great Perfection, it's said repeatedly that there simply is no other way to realize and manifest the great perfection without relying on a guru. You can look at all of the examples of past masters. There is not a single one who attained accomplishment without relying on a guru. There's simply no other way. But again, we need to recognize that all of this talk about a guru is for our own benefit. Following a guru, a genuine guru, is a way for us to come to recognize our own nature, to realize our own natural state. And when we say guru, we're not talking just about like a lama with a title who sits on a throne and has a monastery or whatever. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about any genuine any genuine teacher from whom you receive teachings, and who is really able to influence you, who is able to bring about transformation, inner transformation. That kind of teacher you should hold as the most precious kind of teacher, regardless of how high their throne is. Especially the teacher who introduces you to Rigpa, to the natural state. They are the most precious kind of teacher, the most precious from among all teachers. In one of Longchenpa's texts, he talks about how to cultivate pure perception to the Guru. And he talks emphatically about the importance of training in pure perception, the hows and whys of it. But all of that is for our own benefit, right? So having pure perception towards the Guru, seeing the Guru as a Buddha in person. When we train in that and when we cultivate that perception, we're the ones who benefit, no one else. The profit is reaped by us. So this being the case, we need to seek out, we need to meet a genuine teacher. We then need to train in perceiving them as the Buddha that they are. And through this, then we can come to recognize the natural state. And once we recognize the natural state, samsara will come to an end. So it is very beneficial to recognize the natural state of our own minds. Just to sum up, it's said that in order to receive blessings, we need to rely on a guru. In order to recognize the nature of our own minds, Rigpa, we need to follow a guru. There's no other way. Jigme Rinpoche said, to begin with, we need to be skilled in examining a guru. Then we need to be skilled in following them, and finally skilled in emulating them. So when it comes to gurus receiving teachings and following teachers, we shouldn't just be like a dog sinking its teeth into any kind of meat that it finds. First of all, it's really important that we examine a teacher. So when you first of all hear about a teacher, do some research on them and kind of check out what they're like. Spend a bit of time with them, see how they are before you receive empowerment from them. If you spend some time with a teacher, you examine them, and then you decide that you don't actually want to follow them for whatever reason, then keep your mouth closed and then just take a step back and move on. We should not criticize teachers or stir up problems like that. Then we are just obscuring ourselves and creating more obstacles for ourselves. Again, there's no way to realize the great perfection without a guru. This is how it is. So we need to find a genuine teacher who can introduce us genuinely to the nature of mind. We also need to understand what they're introducing us to is the nature of our own mind, our own Rigpa. We need to recognize that. It's a bit like someone can point the moon out to you in the sky. They can point with their finger up into the sky at the moon, but we need to be not looking at their finger, but at the moon, right? That's right.
Chetindu kala tan der kansana kanser chuku tsala sangen nemida tati shepa sange ngusum du pe se de kala tan dige tsikdina kansarsana tene kanser chuku tsala sangen ta sangbo de ngewa thamje mindus tati shepa sange ngo ta ngarang tu di shepa de sange tata di shepa ina te ngado sange je drop gumindo te ngarang shepa de do ti tere samare ngarang so tene di shepa ti ngarang so nyungmi gi seva sananda rangjung Rigpa tati shepa sala ti labju ti kandre rese pancho cher nyungmi gi sem de la sum ya rashin nyungmi gi che rashin nyungmi gi shepa se che tokpa thamal gi shepa se ni ya tokpa thamal gi shepa nyuksum ya tene rashin Newmigi Shepa, Topa Tamal, Marshepa de la Marma, Numas Marta Tangin Noto, Shepa Secondilla, Shepa Secondary Sumayore. Oh, yeah, Ranshin Tamal Kishepas, Tamal Kishepa. I think we Jedu, Nagano, Ranshin Tamal Kishepas, Jig, yeah. Topa Tamal Kishepas, ni Dita di Shepas against the Sewarda Tandur, that the Shepas and Jingus do with Shebatilla. Ranshin Tamal Kishepata Jig. Tokpa Tamil Kishepata, ni Ranshin Tamal Topatim. Oh, yeah, Tene Ranshin Tamal Shepa, Nuxum Tamal Kishepa, Tokpa Tamal Kishepa. Oh, yeah, Tetisum. Tindukala Ranshin Tamal Kishepas, Nuxum Tamal Kishepas, Tokpa Tamal Kishepa. Tadi shepa again, Tati shepa again, Tila Sumsh, Tati shepa Tila, Yavadashina Sumshe Yore. Tin Dukala Ranshin Tamande, Nuxum Tamalki shepa again, Naranzo Gula Yutingi, Yishitila, Nuxum Tamalki shepa, Ketila, Natos, young note the Kitanda Norche. Nuxum Tamalki shepa, and Tanda Naranzo Semjing to the Jupi Rigpa, Tataye Konish against over Titila, Nuxum Tamalki shepa. Tini Ranshin Tamal Gishepa, and Tanda Around Shepat, make it home taking good digging, Dosha Shetan, Markel Tamjiki, digging Shepa, Jitana Gudetla, Ranshin Tamal Gishepas. Tini Topa Tamal Gishepas and Rigpa Mutuking Shepa, Topa Tamal Gishepas, the Shepa Sumir. Tinduta Tanda did Tati Shepa Sangi Mutundun, 2 ways again that. Dan around to in a chester, Topa Tamal Gishepa to whatever, Topa Tamal Gishepa to whatever. The Tati Shepas, the Shepherd Sumson, Nuxem Tamal Gishepa Chitan, Ranshin Tamal Gishepa Chitan, Tini Tandang around to in a Topa Tamal Gishepa, Tadi Shepa Sumnala, Tanda di Mocho go to the Congress Sepancher, Nuxem Tamal with around to Yepache. Tati told the Ranshin Tamal Gishepa around to Dosha, Shetan, Ariel Tasan Tong digging, Tanda Rig digging, Tanda Yon digging, Shetan Menashing Bargain, Dosha Chunashing Kulging Shepating out of the Yuebaro. Oya Tishepache. Then it Topa Tamal Gishes, Ripokrong Ngo the Sinne, Ripping Ngos in the Nalne de Gutilla, then a Zunziniki Malepa, Zunwat and Zimbaniki Malepi Shepa Soma. Somas and Tatangara Shepat, the Rig Tondon de Shevatilla, Zunzin Gilapa, Tani Monkey or Tangsan. Watching on the left on Tilat in a top of Tamal Kishepa says, yeah, that is love, taking in my lewd them at Lungitan, taking Dungi.
So if we look at the it's the 3rd verse, isn't it? No, it's the 4th verse. The verse that we've been through once already. The second line here says, whatever arises as the play of Dharmakaya is neither good nor bad. This is talking about the sort of from the Dharmakaya or within the Dharmakaya, it's neither good nor bad. Whatever arises as the play of Dharmakaya is neither good nor bad, since this present awareness is the actual Buddha. So we have this word awareness in the 3rd line, right? Here, when we say the awareness we're talking about here is not our ordinary consciousness, not our sort of present consciousness that perceives form and sound and so on. Rather, the present awareness that Dudjom Rinpoche is talking about here is the innate mind, the genuine nature. That's what we're talking about. So when we talk about awareness, we can talk about 3 different types of awareness or 3 different types of mind. The first is
Nuxem.
Ranshin Tamalki.
Yeah, Tangu Nuxem Tabalki Sheba.
Okay.
In Ranshin Tamalki Sheba, that top of Tamalki Sheba.
Okay. The first is the innate mind. Which in the title, I think is translated as the genuine nature, but let's say the ordinary mind, which is, the innate mind. This refers to the primordial wisdom, the naturally present awareness that is already present within all beings. The primordial wisdom present within all beings. We then have the just ordinary consciousness, which refers to like our present mind, full of movements, moving here and there, engaging with objects and thoughts and so on and so forth. That is, ordinary mind. And then we have the three types of so-called ordinary awareness. The first is innate mind, the ordinary awareness, which is innate mind. That's the primordial wisdom present within all beings. Then we have just common mind. We have ordinary awareness, which is common mind, referring to our present state of consciousness, which just fluctuates and engages with objects and so on. And then we have ordinary awareness, which is realization. So this is what's being pointed out here. This is the type of mind or awareness we're talking about here with present awareness. Present awareness is the actual Buddha. This refers to the awareness that has realized, that has recognized its own nature, the recognition of Rigpa. This is what we need from among these three types of mind. So the ordinary awareness, that is the genuine nature, the innate mind, we already have that, it's within us. The ordinary awareness, that is just common mind, our present deluded consciousness, we already have that. This mind full of afflictions, desire sometimes so intense, it's like boiling water, anger sometimes so intense, it's like raging fire. So no need to cultivate either of those two. What we need to cultivate, what we need is the ordinary awareness, that is realization, namely recognition of Rigpa, recognition of naturally present awareness, the nature of mind. What this refers to is an awareness that is completely free of subject and object grasping, free of all dualistic fixation, a fresh and naturally present state of awareness that is unobscured, unhindered, naturally radiant and lucid. If we arrive in this state of awareness, this kind of awareness, that is the natural state. That is a recognition or realization of the ordinary awareness of realization.
The tamal saying the tonda kangarese panjo le laushita. Unsum giton shigo. The tamal saying tamal saying the Newsem tamal geshawa, Ranshin tamal, Topa tamal geshawa, pe le lau. Tamal is the paying ordinary service. Ordinary. This we can think of pay of what you put the lepe lau. Maran say na chi le lau gichinia tamals and tower. Unsum get dog you vichinia tamal the tower. Penechik shiuj kali kasa shiu mogoa. Lamsang hakoi, Tian tamal sing natural pechuchevares.
The reason that it's called ordinary awareness, like the ordinary awareness of realization, is because it is so easy. It's also so direct or accessible. It's in that sense that we're using the word ordinary. Like the great perfection is actually so easy. It's ordinary in the sense of being easy. It's also so like direct. It's so present and accessible. In that way as well, we can say it's ordinary.
Yeah, the ordinary shape the country on the shore. Rigpa the country goes on the shore. The Nepena, Chunyopa, Tangjuk Shagana, Chunyopa, Nyodos, Labajan, they Chunyok Drosha. Shooting Yodos and Mongol was shabby, Shalom Bujasa, and Samashana, shoot the Karma Chuchang and Chili, shoot the chicken, down to Chunyopa, number 2 in Chujuna, quote Chuchi Gorgan, Ni Gorgan, Nimachi Gor, Nimani, Parkapin, shoot the Jansa. Tangrudo, but then I think same the Rampasu, Marashana, same the Yasawatingo, Hakojul, Pembayoris. Same the Rampasu, Mashavayina. Then same the Ango, the Asal Yugi, Chaparioris, Pentabioris, Perna, around the shoot Tangjuk and Dojiris.
So that is what the nature of mind is, how though to manifest it. We can use the example of dirty water. Say you have some dirty water. If you want to clean it, if you want it to come clear, that's not going to happen if you keep on stirring it, keep on shaking it up. If, however, you just leave the water, you just leave it still, untouched, in a place free of wind, and just let it naturally settle, then whether it takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, a day, or even 2 days, no matter how muddy and dirty the water is or appears to be, if you just leave it as it is, the sediment will settle to the bottom and clear water, the water will become clear. So in the same way as clarifying water by just letting it be, if we train in natural resting, if we just train in sitting and letting be, then that can help us to come to see clearly the nature of our mind. That's what. What sullies water? It's the earth, like soil. What sullies mind? Dualistic fixation. So when we talk about ordinary awareness, we're talking about we're talking about the awareness of ordinary beings, dualistic awareness.
Yeah, that did the condition in Chaso Numon, we share but on Anzo Ranjung, the Canditsal was Senande, Liu Dumana Kansan, the three the Gua Numon to Topachi, Musuji, Louis James, you are answer check, but you require under Lamaso and the did it, didn't chick on that the Guru Bison, the Dungeon Bison. The Indukan, the three the Gua, the Penash, Shatan Kego and Dosha Kego and the country, the top of Rakpas, that top of Pemi Shukshambuti, country you and I. Nyomon tungi topa chisharia. Ate ngi shetang cherson tati dujar se pangyo o mari. Ate nga tepa da ningje keso tongpa ni keso nga su lingyo na yo mari. Di indu ka tungi topa kante sherwa ina unsu jechus la. Unsu se na nga maungpa dinde chigin tila unsu se. Jechus se na nga ngoma koksa dinde chigin chong dinde kien benefit nga punja dinde jiwa sambyuti jechus se re. Ngoma keja tila kup dangni namto kegyu tila jechus se re. Maungpa nga pe miga chong sakse chigo lopchong ya pugu chungchong lopchong ya chigo chikchi chigo chikchi dhubgo se nga rangzo hop tang rewa tamchi ti tila tini di se gore, jecho se gore. Ya ngoma chikyo tamchi ila jecho se re, maungpa ongkyu tamtila tang ngunsu se re. Ta ti nigi nani ngunsu tang jecho lui chemi shu se. Tinti ki tini sungzing ki tokpa ka nga ngoma tinti chik cheyin samcho ki tini tigi jeso yang minrang. Nga maungpa ni tinti chikin samne tiye jeso yang matang. Tata ki shepa ti top te kron la yang te juwa te ransra shapa sa sunjin maybe top ma sha shapa ina Rigpa randul ke la mala sarwa depsi Rigpa randul sunjin ni me ba ngaran so ke ngami topa ke chimi ke topa manga teni ti or ke chil te ngaran pe shemba mango ji sa ne dungi topa tam chuna shi kron de kan la tan dosha ke nan da shedan ke nan da ngang ke nan da musu ji ju lu ju ma so teni shepa kanji ji ke go na ya Maungpa gila tila su jesu macho, dati ki nishepa la kanse sena, ngungi, labkyu mongol labna, tamche kati ya tildu kuta, no ti indi kala, ngun su sena, maungpa nga dire chigi samkyu ka tokpa tila ya, ma su ache, ngomi ki takwa la jechu china, nga dire chigi sena, tiya tokma, tata shaba kam shergu yana, pecha nga lanzo yana, sakul dachi tak saki kogo yana, ti nga ngoma dire chigi sena, tinti jesu maji wache nga maungpa na tinti chigin sa ti arkab tina liu dikin sheba tati vi sheba sa ti tati sheba ti dono sungzi nikar me degi yulching ki sheba zani me sheba korong lo di wache nga rangso ki salcha de simba ina Rigpa tirang ramato Rigpa tili losu chi Rigpa kaga yo maris ti indu kala Rigpa randul ke lama sagin Rigpa randul ke lama sagin di kandri jesena Oteni chistere tata nangaranso tiksin sochu nangla kyonde yinde nipo makishi number topi samachi ya makak rangjung mandang rangshi te maji rangi nga kisalse makak rangjung namdo kak kyo marista namdo kon kene kechusha makak rangjung is natural shock se makak rangjung mandang rangshi namdo kubla manju se nga kandisha yakbo du zato sangko ti kubla ya mandang se makak rangjung namdo shedang garjal kaya kawa moko makak rangjung mandang rangshi te suk zewudu ati suk di country de zewu karbul zewudu marul zewu nakpol zewudu yang tinte ki tokshu ya majila ngusi jichu luichu nga kanse ya tene chire kyunda yinde nigo nambar tokis makak rangjung mandang rangshi 마치 ranking 다 셈 코롱 샤도 저 마치 빙나 빠추 땅쪽에나 신지 되네 릭비 코롱 게 빠텔라 마샤서나 대추고 공부도 이양 그래스 되나 티안네 갈리갈리 곱자 치르치르치르치르서나 릭발라 땅차 치르치르 릭발라 녀자 치르치르치르 된도 그래스 된도 강라 다티셰바 세겐디 숭진 마르바 남도게 마쳐봐 어떤데 질 고그레스 다디들 예라고 고이지 말 가시 고이도 가시 고고 메토 다 권한다 막고난다 디랑레 무르부지기 제방이 쉬는 것에 있는 디스트들이 얘들 얘기율도 교화의 념 념은 등에 똑같이 해 무시지죠 루이진 교화랑서 시비주고 그거랑들 갈아마 설한데서 나는 리우드만 티도와 디티는 건 무르부지기 제방이 휴생하는 것도 있을 디마가 다양 가능성 대바 여긴지기 디기 돌아 뭐죠 대바 메킨지기 디데시나야 다른 거 근데 좀 것이 퇴규라야 배 망부 거르고서 나도 레라오지 디바야 왔다 솔도 야고 맞으면 람산 거 시기여서 말이 야 때된 거 시고는 디 타나가도 시기나 신지 운 구름 붙이 전방 주장하라야 간도 시 소절을 가라 결론 가라 찍라 디득도 송네 땡 것이 제발 남도 남미기 제소 만다 ya tene namto chima jesu mos ngumi gi namto nguma sherkyo ge jesu mendo ya tene namto ge jelas misu ta ti parte la tene namto na shepa ta ti shepa soma sera ta soma sadang tela sum jingi me ge shepa ti chukure es la ta ti ngo ti ma de ti ri parandur ge lama ta ti te vi ge shepa ta ti shepa sangi ngusum de ta ti sum din mali be shepa ti sangi ngusum re la ta sangi shinda yo mari 상기 즉 수그 소샤교 울다 서기 동샤교 꾸르오다 상기 세경게 수기트네 샤당 루바고에 되는 드라 말에 겐디 릭비 모드 상기 인도 간라 띵오솜데 고양로데 라마니웨 녀종 사드네 칼리시오 자모고와 레라오체네 로데오체네 그랑게 저 슈글라마데 잉유네 녀종 슬라 아티니 냠도 덴직 송샤
So how do we search for, how do we go about looking for Rigpa from within our afflicted dualistic mind, our mind full of thoughts of attachment, aversion, ignorance, and so on? In the supplication to Guru Rinpoche in 7 chapters, there are some lines which are actually an introduction to the natural state, an introduction to Rigpa. I will just paraphrase the lines. Probably a lot of you are familiar with them. Guru Rinpoche says, to translate very loosely, Guru Rinpoche says, whatever object arises in the mind, so whether it be a thought of anger, don't think, oh, I need to get rid of it. Whether if it be a thought of faith or compassion, don't think, oh, I need to increase that or keep that. Whatever arises in the mind, as whether good or bad, just let it be without reacting, without adopting or rejecting. Do not chase after thoughts of the past, thinking, oh, back then I did this and that. Do not invite thoughts of the future, thinking, oh, later on I'll do this and that. No matter what thought arises about the past or the future, fueled by whatever negative emotion, whatever kind of, no matter what thought arises, no matter what state of mind arises, just leave it all be. Do not get involved in those occurrences. When you just drop all the thoughts in your mind, don't chase after the past, don't invite the future. There is a small moment of present awareness, sort of between the arising of two thoughts, a small moment of just fresh awareness that is lucid and clear and free of subject and object. That is present awareness. That is natural awareness, present awareness. Recognize that and let be in that state. And at the end of these lines, in the 7th prayer and 7 chapters, Guru Rinpoche says, I supplicate the Guru of self-awareness. So this present awareness is that very Guru of self-awareness. There are also some lines of instruction from Yeshe Tsogyal, which again I'll translate very loosely. She says, Do not suppress thoughts, whatever thoughts arise, whether they be of attachment, aversion, ignorance, and so on. Do not suppress them, just let them be, let them come. Do not chase after them, just remain at ease. If you perceive sort of beautiful color or arrangement, it's something you perceive, something you think is very beautiful, don't cling on to that, don't chase after it. Just let it be. Let go and let be. And there you will find present, fresh awareness, a state that is free of dualistic fixation, free of subject and object. So this is how we should train, by resting naturally, meaning without contrivance or fabrication, a bit like just letting water sit still and naturally clarify. By doing this, then our present awareness will make itself known. It will reveal itself to us. It will start to reveal itself to us. And if we continue training like this, uncontrived, just letting be, then our recognition of it will become clearer and deeper. The state of present awareness is a state that is unstained or untouched by dualistic fixation. It's uncontrived. Uncontrived and unfabricated. So this is what is being talked about here when it says this present awareness is the actual Buddha. It's the same state that is being discussed in these lines of supplication to the Guru of self-awareness in the prayer in 7 chapters. The prayer in 7 chapters was an instruction given to by Guru Rinpoche to his 25 heart disciples. And actually, if a student really has faith, then just by reading and supplicating with those lines, then it's possible they can come to recognize the natural state, recognize present awareness. That said, it's not easy because one needs faith, really deep-rooted faith and supplication. Without that, recognition is not possible. In short, what's being pointed out is that the essence of our own awareness is Buddha. Buddha is within us, within our own awareness. Buddha is not to be found externally in other beings, in other statues, in some holy being who has gold skin and a glowing halo. Buddha instead is to be found within our own heart. Just as Dudjom Rinpoche writes, we find the Guru of openness and contentment within our own heart.
Ta gom shegores ta tawadi ta tawashesana te wojate le lawarta gomba ti taw gom sege ti ngang changjure gom ti ti tawati ngang de mara chang de kilo gom ser gom sege shinda ka yo mare ti indi tawi gi ngang chang de gom ta tawi gi gom ti rang gom cha ka chu manga yo gom japtuna te tigaz gom cha ti yak chung sona nimma ji ken chil te ngo chogre mi de ngo de mang ta da gom matuna ti hako mara ha mago de kala nga zo chul ro yo re gom de yak ki ganche lama da thui te gom te ne ti ma che ngala yang sha on de kala nimma ji ken ji cha wa ina pe na tu tu shanang sa ro tu pe mi ji over gao unlimited ge gao yong gen ro tu pe mi ge dubu san ser beta pe mi ge sam lo dubu de Rigpa ngo shi de ti kala pa ngone ge nam ka na ya kansa sana ne kar nam ka ya tawa na shi ngone sem te yang chale 와진 아랑서는 크루 첨부지 크루 에갈리 온마 육샤겐다고 나저 뱀미기 육 당체도 간식 대신아 러시아게 나신 따뜻서 빼샤거든 야 말다 향체도 저거 좀 상인 쇼가 육 대세 어디 디스에 계셔 말이 데 마시 릭바데 말 러시아야 고 러시아 산에 지범에 때랑 뒤기 때네 냠용으로 샤는 거랬어 되는 엄마 강청에서 먼저 짱바 줍신생인데 긴고를 무지서 아마 빼자 하신 분이 제일 누구를 신샤선에 긴고를 무지 인코른 보지 라마 밀라 대 장버 줍진 콘나바니 냠라 주네 드네 장버 줍진디 카메라도 다 거데 나신도 있는 골록서 있는 골록 있어라고 대 대ele 주네 대 콘나바지 대 라마디 줍도 비지도 강라지 야소가 베스 야당 룩소가 드네 야소가 베 저런 아스테레를 베 두르 먹고도 다 된다 소가 들 소니 주들이 강 대단다 긴고른 보지도 콘골로마 자가지래도 벨로마 자 대 콘추슈디고 대 니마징아니 룩 약질 줬어 약질 치었어 They are the little yards, then they are the getting in the church, when you think it was a pen toward the payment of the mouth, just only. They're continuing the Colama, Teba sure, the corner, make it about in it. When the Loma charging, so the Teba shoe yourself. Te koni dira nyam juk deres. Ne chak dodo jesere, chak dodo chibu jesere. Tenti to lama de niga chak dodo kon lama de sur de kon tur de tene keze she. Tene farkam jini keze shegi chigla. Parnut ke chimbula. Kon lamsan de par nudo be shenang ge da she parnut la. Kon de chima jing nudo. De mare. Te to tere kon par new lover. You around the Karo Castle, the Kojusi chicken, par new lover, the Mare lover, the Rigongo to that in those two goes at what comes to point server, not the Nazar away, Nazo Burgula, make accusation or messing and Nazar or something, make another petard. Or did not see a conquered something to go on the gun, par new love to come, compare, the Mare love to come, Sam the man, Luda Mender. There was that. The mountain, Tamani Ripongo, cannot repair Motus. What I in the corrugation, but Tata need to change. Dinier long, Tinikota, 30 down, Tinial, 30 children, nasals, thing he make it. That's under what the cormines. Congo's a church on Topstone. Taina, Croati Corpang around the Dulgi ship again as you love the color. Lamati did Shuxos and Yal long, Chirti Majis. Kangba yore, Gomba yore, Punja yore, Pama yore, Shadow of the Union. Then he that is to watch him. Then he goes on or thinks chair Jenjon Constance and Douglas, parallel patient shop. So watch him, not some Jimmy Cheva. When it over. That in the Rigpa motor to count that tinting motor. He have no t-shirt, can also log in a t-shirt. The into count that tinting motor is and love massive. Can't go, Mitobi sheeter. Doing around the signal she gets it, that signal she and what token you heard it. In a young tinting that Kashi the young tinting my buggy, when you get again about the two to gain some put in the two to color, Rigpa motor to go. What did I? They can answer in Dindala, Lamala, Tabasha, Gom the young, the gap, Yanni Captain, Nimachi, Tinin Gurumbuchi, Lamigi, she loved the two to color, in a ranget. Senang taxe penang around the soga and yimak tan masher sing bed sakabucha the charge pop president lamsa yeah ngora man ki ngudwa sana man ki ngud tin na sin chene ngima ji don the tila kiranso gapa gogudu masam chene ya bu je tepa sha bazar kori ya putun chen gom tila yani ko to ngima ji kiranso nangla nyongwi go ni ji ha ko ji chagre tel kaldin letu chen lamsa trejen tanda sang botum chena re yongin yare trejen tengo to res Did that did our water. That digging on the Jan, Yamatan Damo, Janguti, Tilatine, Gom Segeres, the Goms and Shandayo Maris. That I was the tongue of your session did do. Karmacham and do Karmacham and Sarsi.
So we've now talked about the view. With all of that, we've covered the view basically. Now we'll move on to the meditation. This will be quite simple, much more straightforward because once you've established the view, then meditation is just the case of maintaining that view. When it comes to meditation, the more we can train in meditation, the better. We can say the more we familiarize ourselves, the better. If we meditate as much as we can, practice resting, letting be without contrivance, fabrication, merging our minds with the wisdom mind of our gurus, supplicating and so on. If we just persevere in practicing like this as much as we can, then sooner or later we will encounter a condition, some kind of experience that will trigger recognition within us. It could be an experience of intense fear, an experience of like intense elation or intense sadness, some kind of out of the ordinary emotion. So yeah, it might be that, you experience some unusually intense emotion that just kind of absolutely grips you. And if in that moment you can remember to look into your mind, then you will find yourself, or you can find yourself recognizing a present awareness, natural awareness, seeing that it is just vast and open, just like the pure open sky. And yeah, there'll be a sense of recognition and also relaxation, or we could say relief, a bit like if you've been carrying a really heavy load and then after a long time, you're finally able to take it off. Or if you've been working really hard or exercising really hard, and then you stop, your body's totally exhausted, and now you're finally at rest. These are just examples though, right? Please don't take them too literally. I don't want you, some of you, like going for a long run tomorrow and thinking at the end when you rest that's, you know, recognition. The point is you arrive in a very vast, spacious state, totally free of grasping and relaxed, for a lack of a better word. A story to illustrate this. In the past, there was a master who, a Tibetan master who passed away in Bhutan. By the end of his life, he was really renowned, great perfection master called Kilko Rinpoche. And his teacher was Samkor Rinpoche. Sangpa Drupchen. So student and disciple, a student and teacher, they were in Golok, I think, an area in Tibet. And the Sangpa Drupchen. Lamadi Sangpa Drupchen. Lamadi Kilko Rinpoche. So Sangpa Drupchen, the teacher, he was a yak herder, like a shepherd, you know, like just like here you guys have lots of cows, and no doubt there are some cow herds. So one day he went out to herd his yaks, take them up to the meadows and so on, and he took this student Kilko Rinpoche with him. As they were walking along throughout the day, the teacher was talking about all manner of things, a lot of like very worldly stuff, and a bit of Dharma as well. The student, he was one of the better students. So the teacher was like making the student very distracted with all of this talk about all manner of things. The student was very devoted, and so he listened to all of it intently. That's all. And then they were the teacher sat down on a boulder, like on a slab of rock, and the student then sat down in front, and the teacher said, "Sit over there!" He shouted at him, you know, or something like, "Move back," you could say. And then the student got shocked and moved back, and he said, "Not like that." And with that, the student recognized directly the nature of mind perfectly. The guru then said, "You've recognized it, that's it. You've got it, now leave. Now you have to get up and leave. You can't stay here, you should go off, devote yourself to practice for the rest of your life." And the student did exactly what he was told. He stood up. He was actually from the area they were living in. He had family, friends, he had a whole setup, his life situation, but he literally stood up right there and then and just walked off with just the clothes on his back, and went to a totally different area of Tibet, devoted himself to practice, manifested great realization, and he became like one of the most renowned great perfection masters of his time. He ended up going to Bhutan, and he passed away there. The story, I tell this story in more detail in my book. So if you want to read it there for inspiration, you can read it there. On the surface, it seems like a very inconsequential thing. Okay, a student shouts at a student, "Hey, don't sit, like move back," not that. There's no significance to those words, but somehow the introduction was conveyed, and the student was able to recognize directly. A profound profound introduction took place. It's a bit like, I don't know if you have this tradition I don't think you have this tradition here, but in Tibet, there's a medical procedure where you heat up like an iron rod till it's red hot, and then you strike the patient in very certain points, like vital points. And that can be a very effective remedy, striking the vital points like that, something like that. In any case, what we're talking about recognizing and introducing is non-conceptual wisdom, right? So it's something very difficult to communicate with words, though we have no choice. But like I've said, if we apply ourselves to practice, meaning training, meditating, so-called meditating by just letting be, remaining uncontrived, just settling in awareness, while supplicating, merging our mind with our teacher's wisdom, and so on, just as I've described. If we just persevere in that, then by force of familiarization with that practice, so to speak, then sooner or later, one day we'll encounter a condition meaning like a circumstance, an experience that will bring us to direct recognition of the nature of mind, such that we really gain actual experience, like felt experience of the natural state of Rigpa. So in short, this is meditation. This is the meditation of the great perfection.
Narupa pemi pendita kiwachimbo shores, ina ya Rigpa ngoma tures. Tini telupa kudesona lo mangbuji lo chunyi chusumjik tini kongi jesu to kong kunden la tini cha chöte shu kesa mindukte kong kunde kawa mangbuji cheware te konong kiware pemigi kiware kiwa karo kiware pemigi narupa kiwachimbo rete Rigpa ngoma tures. Rigpa ngoma tini lo mangbuji tini telupa ki shabchi che telupa ki shala mo gyuri te tarong ya makuni. Rigpa magati nimachi ta dulele visera te kyoron chulenga ju ngade metang gosla tini kong de metang sha kong nima yosa mar tini telupa nang metang narupa chulenga do te chulen ya leon de kala narupa ya jangne kong shablom ngarang so juta so gorota shingi ham ko josa titi chulen transom ga zeng go ga ta so jik shuni 대점 시에 무거워 쓰라고 했다. 또 대점 시 이것은 망고 시에 그 마고 쓰라고. 그 앙부리 쓴도. 앙부리는지 앙부야지 쓰용데 가라 택텔로바게 투기 똑같이 해. 탐지콩을 단소 생사도 써. 탐지 거라 봐. 겐 공부냐면 오야. 또 디저디 조바 첨부터 창자 선보스 칸을 납기 쓰지고 말해. 이거는 대빠당 로마당 라마 에르가 대빠기 컨디션 약부지 고고. 이 공격이 저거 진짜진 도기들에 마도 직직부 시에는 시잖아요. 제가 가서 로단 다와 먹고 시에나야 규대 몽골로를 취는데 중진 죽음라서 왜 몽골로를 도나야 저거 좀 돈데 고우마 가 배낭아람 속에 깨져있는 뭐 가져지기 배나 깨지는데 쇼크니드 신부인데 간데 야타발라는 칼 많이 버디 좋아하는 얘기 말아 배대나 신지 저거 좀 우스도 버져와라 라마도 로마니게 똑같이 나랑서나 지 대화 약부지 고우요 디인두가라 때 펜션 나로 받는데 개와 침보 이나 yang tene kar bar chiga hama gorta pe mig hama gorte jelata teluba gola chapal tikshu unde kala chapal ine kan ta ga hamko gor shiti kan te angpuri ni yalen te kan ta lama dal bomba yet me chas to ta tin de kan la mi chin lap ti ju ko yores
So the Naropa was a great pandita, a great scholar, extremely accomplished scholar, but still, in spite of his accomplishment, in spite of his great learning, he had still failed to recognize Rigpa, the natural state. He then met his guru Tilopa, and he followed him for 12 years. He underwent many austerities and hardships. He was so learned in the scriptures, but he still had not understood the natural state. So he followed Tilopa. It doesn't sound like Tilopa really gave him teachings, but he was his servant. His servant for many years. Even after 12 years, he still hadn't recognized the natural state. But then the time came. They were just the two of them. Tilopa was inside. He said, "I'll light the fire, you go out and get water." When Naropa came back, Tilopa had taken his sandal off, and he slapped Naropa on the face with like on the forehead, at full force, and he said, fainted. So he slapped him full force on the forehead with his sandal, and Naropa passed out. When he woke up, then his mind was merged. His mind was inseparable with Tilopa's. He'd recognized and become inseparable. His mind had become inseparable with his guru Tilopa. So this really happens. This is how it goes. All of the Mahamudra and great perfection, it's not just words. This really is how it is. To recognize the natural state, the student needs to have deep-seated faith, and there needs to be a deep connection between the student and teacher, a connection that is built and fostered. And then with that connection and that strength of faith, the introduction and recognition can take place. Great perfection is not something that can just be transmitted with words, like no matter how well presented, no matter how kind of scholarly, even if we were to go through all the great perfection scriptures, or even like the 13 major treatises, the great state of the great perfection, we'll never arrive at the state of the great perfection just like that. It's a bit like a cake. You can, make a cake, a really great cake, and put it on the sideboard, but until you actually eat it, you're never going to know what it tastes like. So in short, in order for the transmission to take place, there needs to be faith, and there needs to be this connection established between the student and the teacher, just like we see with Tilopa and Naropa, because we need the blessings of the Guru need to enter us.
Yeah. Ta gom nang la khang sa nyung mi sem de la mi rang chin de to sen zhen su de ji bi du yi ni ma ko ma ji ri parang ba khain de le te me kang sa ta tu sam del sar ye gi ni khang la sa nyung mi sem de se de rang ge sem bi kusum res lama chukure lama longure lama tulgure dila chilo ngone solwat tab ke jab lama che chen de lama chilo ge lama ji sha dan ripa yo de lama ji ngarang mi na jin lama ji la solwat tab ni lama de chirun zhen ke chul song res lama ge ngo de chukure lama ngo de longure lama de tulgure res ti indu ka ta tinde ge tine rang ge ngo indu ka ta ne ji ge pha gong nga dung ji mang bu ji ne tinde chi go ma rang ge ripa de ha ko so lama tine nye sa res tine ma chu ripa rang ba khain de le be se ti lama de ngang de la ma chu ba sha na tine yang sha on du ka la tine ti sha bi ge te ba de ge te me kang sha rang ro cha ta su me ba lo lan jin tang me ba ten su me bi ge chilab ji rang dul rang kho ba na ya to pe na dun jun ling ba so tham chi san yi gi jang yo ma gom chan chi kang sa ngarang so yi gi jang gen de wo da ge gen de wo thamal chan no ma gong bo long dru jam ning ni je po di khorang sum ju ma sim chi tinte gi tine ko sap shu mang bo ji ter ton yo re jing mi ling ba te na shin re zan rang yi gi jang ma zo ning ma ge la ma so kha shi tinte pe me yo zan rang ma jang ne ko ro gong bo long de ri ge long se on de ka la tine ngoni ji ji se nang di tam ji pe se sha ton jo gen ngarang zo du chi gi samul tang ge nan 샤브거 소루랑 그러나 샤브거 소루도 롭종산 진영 뱀미기 개와 할래와 지즈는 밀라라와 티나시네 티주 곰기 잘이야 시야 티인디 칸라 다 곰디 야고 데나 마슈 리퍼라고 카인들레베 때메 강셔랑도 진랍도 예수 메비 돈에 진랍도 다들랑가 룽게 망구지 장교 네 최인전 다들 되즈미는데 네 되즈 서서갈 드르드르 치기도 티인디 칸라다 드레스티 곰디 티네다 팅앙라네 거레스 따윙앙드네 거레스 티로 곰세그레스.
So the next verse reads, when I realized that this genuine mind is the very nature of the Guru, the genuine or innate mind, the natural state, which is the essence of the three kayas, Dhammakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Namanakaya, when I realized that this is the very nature of the Guru. So if we think of the Guru as being a person separate from us, a human with a body of flesh and blood, and so on, we are mistaken. That is not the Guru. The true nature of the Guru is the three kayas. When we realize this, there's no need for attached and grasping prayers or artificial complaints. We don't need to supplicate as if asking for something we don't already have. We don't need to train in a very forceful way, meditating on the deity, reciting, and so on and so forth. We don't need to take that. We don't need to put ourselves through that. Rather, if we just relax in uncontrived awareness, uncontrived, unfabricated, if we just let be, in the free and open natural state, we maintain faith, we supplicate, and we just let be without contriving in that state. Then we will obtain the blessings of the aimless self-liberation of whatever arises. So it said that within Rigpa, whatever arises is, it said that Rigpa is aimless or without, aimless is a good enough word. So we will arrive at this state. We will receive the blessings of this state, in which whatever arises is spontaneously or naturally liberated. For instance, look at Dudjom Lingpa. Dudjom Lingpa received no education at all, and yet through his realization, through the strength of his realization, he revealed 30 volumes of the most profound quintessential teachings. The same was the case with Jigme Lingpa. There are some Tibetan masters, some masters like that, no formal education, but through the strength of realization, they sort of just opened the treasury of wisdom, the natural expanse of wisdom, and from that, this great wealth of teachings just flowed forth. We can look also at Shabkar Rangdrol, Milarepa, the great yogi, and so on. So many examples. I have so many quotations from the scriptures and so many stories I could mention that would back up this point and highlight this point, but we have already out of time. The point is that meditation, the meditation of the great perfection is to remain in the state of the view, in the way described here by relaxing and uncontrived awareness in the free and open natural state. That's right.
Yeah, that's what I live there. JP Chuki Sanki Dubdun in the Age Logic Gum the Luigi Gidar, Tan and Zinanship with the meaning about junior checking on Mrs. Kyldon. That's your back on Resna. Jena Chugu Marisla, Jay San Sanki want to go Maris Mare, yeah, Chanchusum Gilam Latana, the Ombo, Shrub Ding Tasum, the Kalwatome, Mangu Sos and Sanki want to go Kanshila. This song Nala in I gave what you to Kemba Dunlas, what in the Manguj Dugnity, San Tartu Sanki Kobani Gorete, Zobachimbo Lam, then Sechi Lugila, Massive Kashipe, Losum the Dawson Layatine, and Jalutu to get Naya Shumo, Stain Ducala, Chibichuki Sanki Duptin Medusa, the San Chen Sanki Tugu Medusa Mare, but Taring books yet, the Libgumas, Penang and the Nekamba Jam and Rogina. Kini da jagar lep to mare lamna kangba jam da kangba da kanje de tusing de dona lep dogro da mo boj gor gre de a ta tosan lep gma number na son chuzang a tujil jagar lep dogre tini dina do shana kom de tuna do na dawa khase gor gu feche tanga da hago mindu de tini pe mangbo tisu mo gor gi lep gi mare se wa na shin chege lep gi yo mare se gro ti se ge na shin chege tini ringlam la zobo chimbu ge lamal te kala sange tu gi me pa dogre tin du kala chebi chu gi sange dubdin manda Logic gum the Luigi Dareta, Kerim, Zorim again to the Parchin Tooks again to the Zoba symbol Tuna, Tizotam Jaching, Lam Corlam do, go again to what in the restaurant is.
Now we come to the conduct. Buddhahood is not attained by fabricated dharmas. So here we're talking about the conduct of the great perfection. When it says here Buddha is not attained by fabricated dharmas, it's referring to the other approaches of the dharma. For instance, if you follow the bodhisattva path, then depending on your capacity, whether you're supreme, middling, or lesser capacity, you accumulate you gather merit and purify obscurations for a certain number of countless eons, and then finally you reach enlightenment. If you take the approach of the tantras, then you can attain enlightenment within, say, 7 lifetimes, and so on. In the great perfection, though, through the path of the great perfection, you can attain full enlightenment in a single life, in a single body. Or for some people, it takes only a matter of a few years. Some people can manifest the rainbow body just through a few years of practice. So when it said Buddhahood is not attained here, it doesn't mean that literally the other paths of practice do not lead to enlightenment. They are all paths to enlightenment. They will all take you to enlightenment eventually, but it will take a very long time. From the perspective of the great perfection, these other approaches are just too lengthy. It's a bit like, so that's what is meant by not attained. It's like from the perfection of the great perfection, the other paths, like they take so long, it's almost like you'll never get there. Like you could think, oh, I want to go to India, but to walk to India from here, well, you'd have to get a boat as well, of course, but that would take a very long time, right? So compared to that, you could just get the plane and be there in a few hours. It's like that. Speculative meditation fabricated by the intellect is the deceiving enemy. So speculative meditation that involves mental fabrication, mental creation, like the 2 stages of generation and completion, the practice of the 6 paramitas, and so on. From the perspective of the great perfection, these are very circuitous paths.
Unige kondi ga langdru me ba ha kon dogen tene chwe tam je melam da gyuma ta wo she degen ti tene pe me ge tene 똑바가 녀송죠. 똑바가 집변의 창기신이 라로도 나신 지게 전당 식스긴 미디 지금 디요 말 착신자니요 말이 그런 데인이라 상도르지게 말이 디네 그러para 류라야 쥐마와 말 나라야 쥐바요 말 셈라야 쥐마요 마치 중질 찌르년 강라 미스데 결동세 최탕게 비오 링아 있음 탐제 뱀미기 가서야나 젠진단 덴진기 징와 마인바 뭐야 대대위기 되네 쥐바티 조바 심부 쥐바리 마치위 쥐바티 조바 심부 쥐바리 딘디 연결 미스데 결동 강들 제장 조시 강들 제장 가고 조신게 난저다 나랑 저기 조바 심부 따와지 또바이나 사자 가왈 되난다 진짜지 제네 기분마다 동알이요 말 페나 셀링게 서기링라 사도 팔로미 예와 나신제기 조바 심부 난저발 동알 잘라 얘기 동알 탐지 대위 뭐 규르되어 강르잖아 남도 탐지 슈구르 샤송에 남도 슈구르 샤송 바제 동알 가요 동알 세게 남도 공기요 남도를 랑센잖아 동아요 대인도 강라 남도 슈구르 샤르게 난저 발라 산이랑 동알 얘기가 다가 롱된 야고지 장교에 다 두즈민도 셴 롱된지나 강성스나 오야 티인도 그냥 다들 배 롱된 임부지 자교를 다 먹고 당 두서 거들 티인도 강라 야 중결제는 강들 제장가 조신이나 수단도 얘기도 변증게 보여였다 공부 조바 심비 공부 만나 동을 세게 얘기 말해 동을 세게 때문에 남이한테네 그래 나 미안 미터 살려미 다 당선 요라서 라마 첨부레스 되게 동을 먹고 두세겐도 다와 라마 졸라 동을 두세겐도 งู 두세겐도 먹고 샴딩 말해 최약부 지긴 때문에 동을 잔이 용기 매래 가나서나 งู 탐지긴 뉴스 다 하버도 똑똑 되게 난지로 지기 네 동al ransen ba nyungu do sana chewa namdo mai beta chewa namdo tamje namine desli yangtroli yewaji dige sondu kanse aranso ga tromi loza ba sondu ingi kulne chushinge gyurna dungal tamje dewayi namdo tamje chugweyin nyomon tamje ishi sondu tin chu yakboji gyula ketena dungal tamje dewayi ransin gyurde chewa yakbo de sen dungal zana umare chewa 약부지네 규메나에 동을로 톱 메나에 동을로 사규 메나에 동을 메긴 차가 맞아 탐지 지금 만드는 미팅 이 미팅은 수만으로도 냠네 야고 메베다 chewa 야고 많이 베다 인도 간라 네 간들 제정가 조신게 나도 수단도 얘기했던 기도 분쟁이 보여서 고른버지기 보기 탐지데 인생 뒤쪽도 기부가 영어요 간 짐바요 말 셴바요 말이스라 야다 샀어 아 동물로자 추 인기 길을 추신 얘기를 나서 추 양다고 해봐이나 눈알 탐지 대화레스 녀몽 탐지 이시레스 똑바 탐지 추그레스 아마쟁 가서 밀로다도다 여와저와 치스나
So the now clinging to style and manner is destroyed with crazy abandon. Let this life be spent in this state of uninhibited naked ease. Crazy abandon, the person who has realized the great perfection, who has realized that samsara and nirvana are indivisible, that everything is a dream and an illusion, all appearances are dreams and illusions. Someone, the practitioner who has completely dissolved, destroyed all different types of grasping, all fixation. They have no attachment, they have no discrimination between good or bad. They are utterly uncontrived. They have no fabrication in body, speech, or mind. They appear crazy because of their lack of attachment and fixation. They are utterly pure. They are pure because they are pure in the sense of being pure of grasping at reality, pure of self-cherishing. This is the uncontrived conduct of the great perfection. The conduct of the great perfection is uncontrived conduct. So let this life be spent in a state of uninhibited naked ease. Joyful in all action, the Dzogchen yogi, happy in any company, child of the lineage of Pemmakara. When you have, in the state of the great perfection or realization of the great perfection, in that state, all concepts arise as Dhammakaya, so therefore there is no suffering. Suffering comes from thoughts, which come from grasping at reality, mistaken grasping at reality. And in the realization of great perfection, there is no such grasping, so therefore all thoughts arise as Dhammakaya. As a result, the Dzogchen yogi experiences no suffering. Rather, all seeming suffering arises as joy, as bliss. All thoughts arise as Dhammakaya. there's a problem these days. So as a result, the Dzogchen yogi is happy in any company. They do not experience suffering. Because they do not experience concepts and thoughts. There's a problem these days. It seems that supposed gurus, teachers, there are gurus and teachers who seem to experience like mental problems and suffering. That's not a great example, because if one is a genuine practitioner, if one is a realized practitioner, you will not experience suffering. That's just how it goes. A sign of being a genuine practitioner, a Dzogchen yogi or a realized practitioner, we could say, is to be free of suffering, because when you're free of grasping, then suffering doesn't arise. That is just kind of how it is. This being the case, then those who are of the lineage of Pamakara, lineage of the lotus-born one, they are happy in any company, no matter whether they are, wherever they are, whoever they're with, day and night, they are happy. That's
Dudjom namdar taro je nga namdar shekyo de dudjom do den pe golan de me terchen lamas chela to da me do country ni chenen ni chidang ge ni che tamje zoba chimbo za chewa ya ni country ning tik se de kan ning ge nang ge cha da wo marang zo sugu tamje ge zo de do ning ge ning ge cha de po sha ba de shi do ro ba o da pe mi ge che te ge che country ge ning ge cha da wo de 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 ge da chen chen ten sen den che ge che de so hares.
Then we have the line, Lord who has no peer, great treasure revealing guru. This is referring to Dudjom Rinpoche, the great treasure revealer. There's so much we could say about this extraordinary treasure revealing guru, Dudjom Rinpoche, but we don't have time. So you can read his life stories and so on to find out about him. Likewise, you can read about his incarnation, Dudjom Rinpoche, Jigjal Yeshe Doje. Please do that. The following line, Dharma without equal, heart essence of the Dakinis, is referring to describes the extraordinary teachings of Dudjom Rinpoche. It describes the extraordinary qualities of these teachings of the great perfection, as saying they're like the heart essence or the heart blood of the Dakinis. In our body, the heart is the most vital organ. Without it, we're dead. So this is how precious these teachings are.
I do think this. Monche ninge mumbarangal to salnes watsal niman dime kurju de pere kalsang diko slav tati cancer sana tene monche ninge mo se korwa thom de de bishiji de bado nyumu bu de ke tib de gente tering za lakpa zoba chimbu ke lam dil komne tene rang lami ke ngola te uti kala de dipa pangil thakram go dromo rang nang rang la rangmal se de nyasa rang se rang nyasa nang diba ta thakram go ril do chi gam do pe mi mo go chi mo go Lel how Rangmal said Ransa Koram Sessa the Kirans of the Kubja the Karanto San gave catcher. In the Wasel Nima Demigo Wasels in a Ishere, Tia Tenecra Pen Nimata Wesalo, Tassale get the Necra Baranzana, it's encouraged to share the Ranjung Rigpa, Moton Baranjans or Tujukunju Gishis of the Ranget Kon Nimashirvan Nashingi, then Sharai, the Kalsan the Go, certain Kalasang with dinner Ranget, then Savilama, Cutting Ranget in Necra Parateveni. Yes, then the course, Dini, Kanse Tanga, Ranjungi, she water, Zabacham, but don't you the cutting, Savila Manikins, and the Womat the Telco, where Jar. Garden the course that the continents love. The Pajik Lama Kutin, the Dining around Savila Cuttings, the link on the metal Lama, the Kela cutting cars sort of the Lama cutting sort of Sumio. She cutting so that the Lama Shabjishuni. Tilatineka Lama Shabji Tela Sumio, the ne Kansasana, Rangi Lugi Goni Shabji, Tene Mama, Gunner Longship with the Lama Shabtoshi Pulgiore, then a Rangi Lugit and Lamiki Shop of Gona Shabji, Sumbatilla, Dubanyamling Shabji, that Dubanyamling, the Yapshure, Moya Tin to Kamata, Lugi Shabji Milagit in a Marpala Shabji Shugana, Jinsi, Dansa Shukale Cover, Tindayan Kale Cover. Then a Gunner Longship of some other Gul Pesana, Conjol Show up at the Ning Chet to Corpe, Shukale, the Indicala, Gupul Gurkale Cover. The Rangi should the Rangi do the Lel House, the Indicala. Lama ge shabdot in a transhu de dubi shabdore. Lama ge should have been to Nigman, Lama Koran Chusure, then Lama Koran, Yanta, Lama Yaga should have a Pemige to New and Angry. Then you can like Dribish up to second day, or the Shapton soon non Tasha Dribish, the Dribish up to Ranga to Gore, or the Janatini, and Tilling Corner Metal Lama Cano, set the Lama took New issue to lay the Tasha, Ranga to buy Yamnichi. The Teta Nangores, the Shebans, Doji Lobo. To Tribi could Jimmy Ching Norbu, don't Tamchi Dribi Day, Sumki Moro, Jitri Shido, Sheldon Timber, Geo Sarva Mangalam. That's us.
Now we come to the fruition. Having naturally purified the great delusion, the heart's darkness. So from beginning this time up until now, being obscured by obscurations, the cognitive and emotional obscuration, we have been wandering aimlessly in samsara. But today, today I have been able to naturally purify this delusion. The word that's translated here as naturally could also be translated as like in my own bed or in my own seat. It has the sense of like I've been able to, I haven't had to like travel far or go somewhere else, find some other place, but rather just right here, right where I am, I've been able to purify this great delusion, to dispel the heart's darkness, so that now the radiant light of the unobscured sun, this is referring to our naturally present Rigpa, our basic awareness that is empty in essence, luminous in nature, and has unobstructed compassionate capacity. It's just like the sun. Now the radiant light of the unobscured sun of my own awareness continually arises. This good fortune, this extraordinary good fortune, comes from the kindness of my root guru, the gracious kindness of my root guru, who introduced me to Rigpa. Our recognition of Rigpa comes through the kindness of our root guru. So the kindness of the guru, my only mother and father, guru of unrepayable kindness. The kindness of introducing us to the natural state is unrepayable. But when we talk about repaying the guru's kindness or paying service to the guru, we can talk about three types of service through which we can attempt to repay the guru's great kindness. First is serving with material offerings. Second is serving with our body and speech. And third is serving through practice. And this third type, serving through practice, is the best type of offering, the best type of service to the teaching, especially these days. To serve a teacher genuinely through body and speech. I mean, the best example of that would be like Milarepa serving his teacher Marpa, the way that, you know, he served him physically, the things he did. It's almost, no one can do that these days. No one's up to that. In terms of serving with material possessions, well, everyone's pretty stingy and doesn't want to give away what they've got. So you also don't have much chance of serving your teacher in that way. But practice, you can just do yourself. So that's the best and easiest thing to do, just practice. And if a teacher is... practicing is the best offering you can make, the best service you can offer. If a teacher is not pleased with the offering of practice, then that's their own shortcoming. Their own shortcoming, because there really is no greater practice or offering no greater offering you can make than practice. These days, many teachers might be more pleased with the offering of a big sum of money or a car than practice. So with that, we've come to the end of the text, and the colophon reads, at the request of my foremost Vajra student, the Tulgu Jigme Chuing Norbu Dun Tamshi Drubude. This was spoken as delirious chatter by Jidro Yeshe Doje, Sarvada Kalyanam Bhavadu. And with this, we've finished the text. So today, you have received both the lung and also instructions on this text. So you've received a good explanation of this text as well as the transmission. And as I said, I've written a commentary on this text, which I've translated, and we will share that with you so you can read the commentary as well. So today we ran over time. It took an hour more than we planned. So I'm sorry about that. Actually, we should just be delighted to be able to listen to the Dharma, right? These days, everyone's so concerned about their time. Time is very precious. So we ran over time, and maybe now you're bored.
Sorry.
Yeah.
If you'd like to gather the merit from today's practice, and we can do the concluding prayers together. Through this merit, may all beings attain the omniscient state of enlightenment and conquer the enemy of faults and delusion. May they all be liberated from this ocean of samsara and from its pounding waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. Just as the Bodhisattva Manjushri attained omniscience and Samantabhadra too, all these merits now I dedicate to train and follow in their footsteps. As all the victorious Buddhas of the past, present, and future praise dedication as supreme, so now I too dedicate all these sources of merit of mine for all beings to perfect good actions. Rinpoche, contrary to your instruction, I have had overwhelming wishes to also do your long life prayer.
No need.
No need? Okay, maybe for tomorrow then.
Okay, it's okay.
Having said that, I just would like to conclude with our Rinpoche's swift rebirth prayer. And I invite you to also pray for his rebirth also. Okay.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Vajradhara, sixth Lord endowed with the 8 special powers, Avalokiteshvara and Tara sublime, lotus-born Buddha, great treasure revealers and your heirs. To you all we pray, think of us in this very instant. The merit you gathered so completely is like a brilliant lotus flower, its heart adorned with the lineage of the matures and liberates, and resplendent on the vast ocean of instructions. You that raise the victory banner of the Buddha's teachings, to you we pray. Though you have the power to teach Dharma in all kinds of ways, you saw no way to bring further benefit at a time such as this. You chose instead to seek the tranquility of samadhi, and let your vibrant wisdom mind enter the still forest of the Dharma Dhatu. For all those who are drawn to what is profound and vast, we pray that you return swiftly, a youthful sun, a supreme emanation, with 1,000 rays of light bringing teachings for this time, the divine and sacred 84,000 teachings of the Dharma. And when you return in the form to match your predecessor, Turton and Lord of Siddhas, adorned with all the beauty of the perfect life of liberation, may you ripen into the splendor to behold a vision for the eyes of thousands of receptive and fortunate disciples. Embodiment of the Buddhas of the past, present, and future, Guru Rinpoche, master of the cities, Guru of great bliss, dispeller of all obstacles, wrathful subjugator of Maras, to you I pray, inspire me with your blessing, so that outer, inner, and secret obstacles are dispelled, and all my aspirations are spontaneously fulfilled. Om Ahum Benza Guru Pema Siddhi Hum. May the living tradition of Guru Padmasambhava, Bodhisattva Shantara Skrita, and the Dharma King Tritsen Detsen spread throughout the world in all directions. May the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha be present in the minds of all, inseparable at all times, bringing peace, happiness, and well-being.